Jeon is a third-grade student in South Korea who holds the impressive record of being the lowest-ranked student in the entire country. Her mom calls her a freeloader, but don't underestimate this girl yet. In an era crawling with monsters from other worlds, Jeon is choosing someone with such a rare ability is harder than winning the lottery. Known as the Spoon, Jeon is ranked third in the world and first in the nation, and she's also known as the Mage King. At a headquarters, a car screeches to a halt. A formally dressed man quickly heads inside, his assistant following closely behind. He asks, "Captain, are you there? Everyone else has already clocked out." Suddenly, a message flashes on the screen before him, making him break into a cold sweat as he stammers. "What is this? Cannot be measured. What does that mean? It's impossible." His assistant adds, "Sir, if the level measuring device can't get a reading, there are only two possibilities. Either something is happening, or the device is brand new and was just brought in from New York yesterday." He says, "I already turned the power on, though." The captain frowns and asks, "Has that person arrived yet?" The assistant nods. "Yes, sir." The captain adjusts his suit jacket and opens the door, thinking to himself, "It's probably just a technical glitch. The equipment in Korea is all outdated anyway." But if it wasn't the device... He blinks as he sees a kid sitting in a chair. She's sucking on a milk box, legs swinging back and forth comfortably, with two bodyguards standing beside her. He can't help but be stunned. The captain frowns, thinking, "A kid?" He quickly regains his composure, looks at Geo and asks, "What's your name, kid?" Geo opens her mouth to answer, but the captain cuts her off, awkwardly asking, "Sorry, but wait, actually, how old are you?" Geo calmly replies, "The day after tomorrow. I'll be in the 4th grade." Geo glares at him as if to say, "If you keep talking..." She continues, "Anyway, Mr. Captain, doesn't registering as an awakened have nothing to do with my age?" She swings her legs and adds seriously, "Isn't that an invasion of my privacy?" The captain stammers, "Sorry, kid." He thinks to himself, "If I look down on the kids these days, I'm probably going to run into more trouble." A researcher comes to report to him. She sighs, "Captain, the maximum value for the old measuring device is level A, isn't it?" "Yes, that's right. I'm sure things will go as you expect, right?" He turns to look at the person who just arrived and says, "Oh, Deputy Captain, I got a call to come here right after I finished work." The woman sighs and nods. "Yeah, almost everyone did." She takes a sip of her water and says, "By the way, even if it is accurate, that's still an issue. Have you seen the report?" She hands him the research member table. She says, "There's this girl, Jeon. She's only in 3rd grade, but because her birthday is early, she can be considered 9 years old. The life of our country depends on her." He falls silent, lost in thought, just listening to the woman. She says, "Because until now, South Korea has never had an S rank. Do you know how many people have already fallen?" The captain clenches his fist in frustration, his voice trembling as he continues, "I'm just sick of looking at obituaries at funerals. But let's not expect too much. Maybe this is just a minor error." Another person rushes into the room to report. "Captain, the testing room is all set up." The captain nods. "All right, I understand." He gestures with his hand. "Let's go, kid. This way, Geo." At the testing room, Geo is brought into the awakening room, her body hooked up to various wires. The measuring machine suddenly emits a loud sound. Everyone around her takes turns telling her to stay strong if you want to become an awakened. The operator flicks a switch, and the machine screams, "Identity verification complete." The room designated for the person being tested suddenly lights up. It doesn't stop beeping. "Identity verification complete." It starts shooting sparks of electricity around her. That ear-splitting sound echoes repeatedly. After a long while on the display board, a message appears. Maximum rank, S rank. The captain is shocked beyond words. He thinks to himself in amazement, "Is this for real? Maximum rank, S rank? The last letter is S?" The whole group in the room clamors to get a better look at the screen. A source of light suddenly flashes. Geo ends her awakening session and quickly walks out of the room. A series of notifications pop up for her. "Congratulations, South Korea. The first S-rank awakened in South Korea has appeared. The South Korean internal server has been expanded due to the birth of a powerful leader. South Korea has been upgraded from a jointly managed country to a priority managed country." Geo touches the screen, and another notification arrives. The constellations. High-level constellations will be housed at the Tower of Babylon, belonging to the South Korean Astronomy Department. Everyone in the room cheers. Finally! South Korea has a chance now. We're finally going to survive! The captain looks at her and says loudly, Hey, Geo, just which constellation are you holding on to? He happily turns to order his subordinates. What are you doing? Hurry up and call the reporters. Tomorrow morning at the Blue House. Geo calmly pulls off all the plastic wires attached to her body. She frowns, thinking to herself, why are there so many comments? Suddenly she freezes when the notifications show everyone going crazy. All other rankings are fluctuating. South Korean internal server, national channel. Geo is S rank? This is insane. 27 kindergartners, all rankings across the world have changed? Is that for real? Alpha, I can't believe I dropped in rank. First place in the nation, 49, Lam Soo-young. I heard that when an S rank appears, the national server will be opened. It seems like it's true, huh? From Seoul to other cities, everyone is here. 2, Gupasapong, netizens are creating a huge impact. Standing in first place, Geo sighs. She thinks in her heart, this constellation. With this, how long are they going to keep counting? A notification window appears for her. Your constellation, the reader of destiny, feels very aggrieved. Didn't I tell you? You really are a cheeky kid, but I can't hear you. You just need to point your finger, that's all. Geo thinks for a long moment before saying, no, even so. Suddenly a loud voice shouts out, is that kid really an awakened? The captain yells back indignantly. Watch your mouth! This kid, Geo, I am her manager. They don't stop calling her name, making her ears ring. Geo! Geo panics, finally realizing the situation. Frightened. She hides on the side, eyes wide with worry, thinking to herself, oh, I'm screwed. Mom, what should I do? It seems your daughter just became #1 in all of South Korea. About 20 years ago, a massive tower appeared in the city center. People below kept whispering about it. In every capital city around the world, there was another tower. All media outlets reported on the towers, but with current, technical skills, they couldn't discover anything. One of them stammers, was that built by aliens? With their current level of technology, they couldn't possibly figure anything out. One of them stammered, could it be that this was built by aliens? The baby in her mother's arms shrieked in terror, Mommy, I'm scared! As humanity's fear and panic reached a breaking point, the research team from the university was sent to study it last month. The researchers acted as calm as ever, and the team leader only gave a brief statement to the press. However, it's very hard to know what they are really doing or for which nation they are working. People walking on the streets witnessed a dark, abyssal pit appear right before their eyes. Then, countless monsters poured out from that hole. That nightmare unfolded while people didn't even have a moment to worry. At the same time, those sudden rifts opened gateways for monsters from another world. Even though humans tried their best to fight off the monsters, wiping them out completely was impossible. That was when humanity witnessed a spectacular turning point. After that day, the world turned a new leaf. Currently, Yeonji-oh is wearing headphones, eyes glued to a game. As she plays, an annoying voice cuts in. It's Yeonji-rock, an S-rank hunter and her second younger brother. He frowns and says, Geo, the least you could do is take off your headphones and read my cacao messages. Are you even listening to me? You are such a hopeless case. Geo lazily takes off her headphones and replies half-heartedly, Yeah, finally done. Are we having chicken again tonight? She puts her phone down and looks at him seriously. Are you looking for your sister, puppy? Note, this line is merged with the previous one in the audio logic. I have something important to ask you. G-Rock steps closer, frustrated, and continues. Are you kidding me? Haven't you been watching the news? Someone just jumped from the tower after hearing the news. He shoves his phone in her face to show her the headline. Successful conquest of the 42nd floor of the tower. USA's Timothy Lily White. The rank 1 hunter participated directly. Don't you feel anything? Geo covers her mouth and yawns wearily. Americans are terrifyingly hardworking. G-Rock is stunned, not expecting that kind of answer from her. Frustrated, he yells through the house. He shakes her shoulders, saying, Please stop playing these useless games and focus on conquering the tower. You stubborn idiot. Suddenly, a notification box appears. Welcome, Reader of Destiny, you who carry the sacred vow. Finally, awakening your latent power. The genre of the new world is... Geo watches with interest as the message continues to display. Awakening means the era of hunters, the bottom floor of the tower. Babylon, where they are born, is called the guide floor. Those who receive a ticket to Babylon will be reborn as awakened. Through this guide, these awakened individuals develop in two paths, betting their lives to climb the treacherous tower or the pure faction, accumulating experience in low-level dungeons. The Dungeon Break faction, Geo thinks to herself. Among them, the representative of the pure faction is my younger brother, Yeonji Rok, nickname in the tower, Bambi, born 11. Months after me, he is South Korea's 4th S-rank hunter. He's been competitive since he was a kid, so ever since he got the tower ticket, he's been like a fish in water. In previous battles, even when facing monsters 1,000 times his size, this boy always kept a strangely calm demeanor. Then, he grabbed his weapon and leaped up, then stabbed straight into that monster. Without a moment's hesitation, a flash of light burst out. A split second later, the monster was taken down by G-Rock. G-O dusts off her hands, bored, thinking, nothing special. In her stream of consciousness, Ji-O contemplates that. Even if you don't know if they are heroes or villains, there are cases where they can crush the entire ecosystem. The people chosen by the stars have rare abilities, even harder to come by. Spoon, that's me. 3rd in the world, 1st in Korea, the king of mages, G-O. However, when I'm at home, I'm just Geo dealing with G-Rock. Suddenly, a voice rings out. Geo, are you home? She is talking on the phone and without waiting for an answer, storms into the room. Seeing her in the room, she calmly ends the call and says, Oh, hey. That girl is Yeon Ji-Um, the 3rd daughter, a coding YouTuber. Geo is held back by G-Rock, who says awkwardly, you're back from school? Ji-Um shrugs and calmly reminds them, but you should really get out of the house sooner. Mom seems to have found out about the mock exam score. Why did you hide that? So stupid. Geo blinks, a bit worried. She waves her hand at G-Rock and asks quietly, when is Mom coming back? Ji-Um rubs her chin, thinking for a long while, then raises her hand with 5 fingers and says, 5. Ji-Um frowns and asks, 5 seconds? Ji-Um doesn't answer but keeps counting down. 4, 3, 2, 1. A notification suddenly appears. Trait activated, Silver Vault of the Hidden, feet slipping, appearing suspended in the air. As a student who is slowly accumulating terrible grades, Yeon-Ji-O, a 3rd-year university student in Korea, G-O jumps onto a small pillar, mouth chewing on a popsicle, hand scrolling through notifications. Block University of Korea, Channel 112, Dreamer. Bambi will conquer the 38th floor this week. Tomorrow there will be an official letter. Regarding the strategy, brother, you should take it for reference. 8. And as far as I know, Bambi is having another meltdown. They don't have a real strategy. I told them to increase the manpower, but their elite troops are too few. 6. They're insane. Without a strategy, I'm leaving now. After that, she receives a message from her mother on the family group chat, reminding her, in a country with 4 S-rank hunters on the 30th floor, what are you complaining about? Even the 3rd-ranked person just plays games. Geo hurriedly refutes, no, I don't. I'm reading a web novel. The person who is most popular is Grand Duke Akma Winter of the North. Her mother quickly replies, all you do is breathe, and you still grow stronger. So please, at least have a conscience. Aren't you ashamed of yourself, you parasite? Suddenly, a notification line appears. Your constellation, Reader of Destiny, coughs and says, is the way your mother uses words a bit too harsh? He is angry because as if she had taken good care of her, she wouldn't have that messy hair. Geo replies nonchalantly, bear with it for a bit. She is my main source of income. Her mother texts again, don't you dare grumble. Geo sighs and replies, I'm just letting everything go. Her mother doesn't pay attention and continues to ask via text, what is that? Geo quickly replies, the hidden observer of hidden power. Geo gently walks on the electric pole, hands in her pockets, thinking to herself, of course there is a reason why the rank 1 person does nothing and doesn't get criticized. The Babylon network will automatically expand the server, in each country based on the number of players by level. She breathes out, purses her lips, and thinks. Depending on the size of the server, the number of tickets distributed will be different. The number of gates and the number of tickets, which corresponds to the number of awakened. Geo jumps down to the ground, deep in thought. This figure is similar to the fact that only a few people, the awakened, will bear the burden of the entire nation. The value of high-level awakened in this era far exceeds that of nuclear weapons from the old era of Korea. From a nation looked down upon by everyone, it has transformed into one of the leading powerhouses, and they know this clearly. Another notification reminder pops up, a trait of the constellation. Stopping. She glances at the signs posted on the poles along the street, raising her eyebrows in thought. They're everywhere. Even if she goes to Biome's place, he'll just nag. Suddenly, a message notification pings. A message appears stating, "Open the treasure by force." She steps into a different space. The Supreme Being stands up and whispers to his only incarnation. A voice echoes in her ear. "Geo, there is a crack ahead." Geo stops in her tracks, knitting her brow, thinking, "A crack, really?" Geo stands frozen in the middle of the street, wondering, "But this place?" Near Seonryung Station, her phone pings with an alert at 7:25. An emergency disaster message from the Ministry of Administration, the authorities. A level 6 crack suddenly appeared at 20 hours and 14 minutes today. According to the special disaster team, awakened nearby are taking action to respond. The loudspeaker blares, "A gate has suddenly appeared. A gate has suddenly appeared. A sudden crack has occurred. All citizens in the vicinity, please leave the area immediately and evacuate to a safe place." A massive spatial crack appears, accompanied by a rumbling sound. Giant claws reach out from the rift, piercing a car parked along the road. One, then many, giant super spiders leap from that spatial rift onto the street. Geo realizes they are the desert spiders she just observed. She watches people fleeing in panic, thinking, "It surely won't be alone. If so, wiping them out will be a pain." Regardless of who is running or screaming, Geo calmly stands still, observing and thinking to herself, assessing the situation. It clearly said it was a level 6 battle, right? The Korean peninsula looks so chaotic. Police officers in the distance shout, directing the crowd, "Citizens, please avoid. Moving this way. Please move slowly in this direction. Stay calm as you move." At this moment, a man in a panicked rush slams into her. In the distance, a police officer continues yelling to reassure them, "If anyone is injured, please report to us." A notification screen suddenly appears asking, "Your constellation, the Reader of Destiny, is still here? No, clearly I said there would be a gate appearing ahead, right?" Geo reads it, annoyed, and replies, "Just speaking vaguely, and then just leaving like that made me think there was nothing left to worry about." A silence meets her reply. She clicks her tongue. "Why aren't you answering? Are you mad?" "Ah," Geo sighs to herself. Fine, just going straight home is enough, right?" At this moment, a police officer sees her standing still in the middle of the street and shouts, "You student! Move this way, hurry!" She scratches her head, confused, asking, "Me? Why?" The officer replies, "Moving alone right now is very dangerous. No matter how anxious you are, please follow our instructions." An elderly woman sees the situation and hurries over to advise, "Student, at times like this, you have to listen to the government officials, you know? Only then will everyone be safe." She tries to find a reason to refuse. "But my mother and siblings are waiting for me at home, ma'am." The elderly woman smiles. Gently, she pulls her hand. "Oh dear, worrying won't change anything. Everything will pass." She stammers but cannot refuse the old lady's enthusiasm. She wonders to herself, is this the warmth of the Korean people? Right then, someone rappels down from a helicopter. Gina shouts, "The suppression and rescue team has arrived." "Listen, the rescue team will go in there and close the gate immediately." Someone standing near this crack hears her and hesitates. Agent Gina, that..." A gut-wrenching scream echoes, "No, don't close it!" The woman who just screamed loses her composure, sobbing, "I told you my child is still inside the station." A man standing beside her tries to calm her. "Please calm down a bit." But thinking of her loved one, the woman cries and gasps, "Subin, please save Subin!" Strange noises constantly echo from the crack. The woman almost collapses as she cries, "Oh God, Subin!" Do-hyun walks over, observing solemnly. He suddenly suggests, Pardon me, I am a hunter, I will go inside. And bring the child out. In the safe zone, people sit slumped on the ground after the recent incident. They seem shrouded in a gloomy, depressed atmosphere. At this moment, Gio is frantically typing a message to send, Gion, 00, save me, I'm trapped behind the barrier. It's cold here, she shouts in her heart. No data. Gio accepts reality and puts her phone in her jacket pocket. She rests her chin on her hand, thinking, trapped, really? Well, if I want to clear this up and get back to normal, it's going to take quite a while. Even though I was reckless enough to leave the house, however, that doesn't mean I don't have the intention of going in there. She thinks and thinks again. Then she thinks of the powerful woman at home and decides, thinking about it again, this place seems to be the safest. A sudden scream rings out, "Look over there!" The desert spiders crawl wildly on the street. The hideous, massive spider legs scraping against the ground create creepy rustling sounds. People standing behind the barrier fence discuss in panic. Isn't that a monster? Damn it, are there no awakened here? Look, there are so many people gathered here, damn it. It's nighttime, what kind of disaster is this? Gio is extremely conflicted. Should I show myself, since there's already a suppression and rescue team, or should I just stay put for now, right at this moment? A spider aggressively charges toward the barrier, trying to attack the people inside. The police officer nearby realizes the situation, hesitates for a moment and speaks up. Damn it, it's coming this way! The officer next to him immediately orders, Guns, get ready to fire! The desert spider lunges toward the barrier to protect the civilians. But at this moment, the police officers are still hesitating and haven't pulled the trigger to take down the monster. A shout echoes, Get out of the way! Followed by a sharp, clear bang from the gun in Gina's hand, and then a series of gunshots rings out. After wiping out the spiders efficiently and neatly, she picks up the megaphone and shouts at the officers earlier, You brats, wake up! Hunter BBB, belonging to the Emergency Suppression and Rescue Team, Team 1 Center. Gina is holding the megaphone, scolding them non-stop like a machine gun. Get into formation now! And as for struggling with this level 5 monster, how much longer are we going to keep this up? A hiss came back right after her scolding. I'm sorry, ma'am. She quickly barked orders. Fix the formation! Move it! At that moment, the chatter of the police officers guarding the spatial rift grew louder. The suppression rescue team is here, so why hasn't the gate closed yet? Agent Gina isn't done yet? The other officer asked suddenly. Didn't you hear? The first one whispered curiously. What happened? The other officer recounted. Word is, there's a kid who can't get out of the station. And an F rank went in after them. I'm waiting for him. The fierce winds kept blowing out from the rift. The dark-skinned officer clicked his tongue. Damn it, this position is like being a beggar. Why does it have to be right at the station entrance? The white officer didn't care much for his grumbling and asked, You're saying an F rank went in there to find the kid? The white officer was still stunned. Doesn't he know how unstable the rift is? Even if we don't close the gate, we can't completely ignore the possibility that it might suddenly shut itself from the other side, he continued. If that happens, they'll never ever be able to come back. He went on. Even the D ranks hate going in there, so they lied. Still, if they could just make it back, that would be great. A stone fell from the sky, landing near the rift. The officer continued to lament. What's that? If that happens, a hero is born, right? A desert spider slammed down onto the ground. Gina calmly ordered, Get into formation, quickly, coordinate the situation. Team 1, enter the station, an older officer shouted. Hey, Agent Gina! He pointed at the spatial gate, then barked angrily. If they haven't come out by now, it means that brat has made a nest inside the station. Don't you know you need to seal this gate immediately? That kid is lost. Hearing his words, she darkened, then angrily retorted, Then, Senior, why don't you go and close it yourself? I'm going in. Gina rushed forward and grabbed his collar, surprising him so much that he gasped. What? She gripped his jacket tightly as if to lift him off the ground, then gritted out each word. Because I have to go save the one who went in there. Since you're so eager, you go and close it, you jerk. A voice rang out to stop. The looming conflict. I'm out. Right here. A police officer quickly signaled the duty team to bring a stretcher. Do-hyun was panting heavily, trying to lay the child down as gently as possible. A deafening roar erupted from the rift behind him. At this moment, the duty team rushed over with the stretcher and asked kindly, Are you okay? Other officers buzzed around. An F-rank child? The situation? Left Gina and the senior officer stunned. Questions kept flying. You just came out from there now? Gina seemed overwhelmed. By Do-hyun. In her head, only one thought remained. Hero. Do-hyun. Even though he was scratched and covered in dust, he whispered softly to comfort the child. It's over now. It's okay. Gina rushed over, panicked. I'm sorry, but may I ask your name? He paused for a moment, then replied, I'm Baek Do-hyun. The duty team escorted him to the safe zone. At this point, the civilians watching the whole time stood up, surrounded him, and cheered endlessly. He found the kid! Oh my God, that's incredible! Gio also joined. In the crowd's praise, feeling moved. Amazing, she thought, breathing a sigh of relief. Finally, it was all over. She turned back and forth, asking those around her, Can I go home now? Right? I really miss my bed. No, I miss my mom so much. She rambled endlessly. The family at home said they were really, really worried. Gio's words made everyone around them think about that same issue. They whispered to each other, But it's getting late, isn't it? We still can't go home? Let me go home. The officer heard them and opened the barrier, telling the citizens, Everyone can pass through now. Gio heard this and thought contentedly, Finally, I'm free. A notification suddenly popped up. Trait added, Bait. The board sniffled. The fate reader was sighing. The board kept sniffling. Oh, I've confided in the neighbors, and ended up becoming a parent regarding my worries. Where did she learn such bad things? Gio asked, Who are you tattling to? She yawned, short and long. Oh my, I'm going home. Write in my diary and sleep, that's the plan. Someone rushed forward, chased after Gio, grabbed her hand and pulled her. Hey! Wait! This left her extremely surprised. Do-hyun pleaded, Please help me! The fate reader sat on the throne, observing the unfolding situation, chin in hand. Smiling mysteriously, then thought, in the end it all turned out like this. Back to Do-hyun and Gio. He said urgently, If you do that, Kun-jina will die. Not just Kun-jina. Everyone here today, Gio. She yanked her hand away, annoyed. What is it? Do-hyun continued to warn her. All the hunters and many other civilians. Everyone is so helpless. He bowed his head, defeated. He said the entire Seongrung station area, he said in a serious tone, will become a mass grave. Do-hyun recalled the tragic scene that day. During a dark, torrential downpour, he went to visit those who had fallen in that place. At that moment, he suddenly understood. Now I know. Do-hyun placed the bouquet he had prepared on the grave, then looked up at the dark sky and thought, a person would never appear before me like her. Why did she come directly to it that day? He concluded that it was because she was already there from the start, returning to reality, he said hurriedly. The manticore is about to appear here. It's a level 3, but, he emphasized, among them, there is one that is a variant, equivalent to a level 2 threat. He desperately wanted to prove the truth in his words. You have no way to check if what I'm saying is the truth, right? Gio had no expression, as if empathizing or believing his words. He frowned, begging, Please. Gio suddenly asked, Do you know who I am? Do-hyun answered, Yes, I know. They say you are the Archmage. At this moment, at the spatial gate, strong winds still blew relentlessly from the crack and showed signs of getting stronger. The police officers were a bit panicked, shouting, The gate isn't... At the space gate, powerful winds kept howling out from the rift, and they were showing signs of getting even stronger. The police officers panicked and shouted, The gate! It's... What on earth is this? What's going on here? Some people couldn't help but curse, Damn it, report it already. Hearing that, a police officer shouted, Backup team, let me introduce him again. His name is Baek Do-hyun. A notification window appeared. Special skill library has been activated. Task complete. Confirming authority for Jeon-seo. Specifying area. Do you wish to continue searching for information on Baek Do-hyun? She whispered the command, Do it. All information about him appeared after her command. Gio, age 25. System level, combat rank F. Specialization, force. Ranking, out of scope. Tendency, protective, well-meaning, and brave. Affiliation, Earth. Republic of Korea. Subordinate, none. Holy position, sealed. First title, undecided. Second title, the time traveler, protagonist of world failure. She was a bit surprised by the information about Jo Hyun. Geo focused on one piece of information and silently repeated it in her mind. For the second time, she spoke. The title is Protagonist of the World? Jo Hyun hurriedly said, You believe me now, right? He clenched his fist as if to cheer her on. Do your best, I'm counting on you. We don't have much time. Geo was a bit speechless at his actions and words. She stroked her chin, setting a condition. In return, I have a condition. Jo Hyun agreed immediately, even without knowing what the condition is. Yes, I can do anything at all. Geo pointed at him. Once everything is over, let's never meet again. Saying that, she started running. If we meet again and you try to talk to me, you're dead. She left him standing there, dumbfounded. As Geo ran, she felt annoyed. Protagonist? What protagonist? Regression protagonist? What even is that? After cursing, she started to feel anxious. What the hell is this guy anyway? No need to know how the world will fail, but wasn't that person supposed to not exist? She returned to where the spatial rift was still unresolved, silently observing and thinking, if I get involved in this, it's definitely going to be a huge headache. Jo Hyun was standing right behind her. Geo was determined to handle this quickly and stay far away from him. At a large villa, someone was monitoring the situation through news articles. New article, Gaseongjung, Level 6 rift occurred. Back to Level 4. Buildings and roads have been restored to their original state. Many people commented on the article. Number 1, huh? If it's number 1, that's just normal. She's always ranked first or second. I heard that even if she is rank 1, her life still goes on as usual. The comments didn't stop expressing amazement and discussing incessantly. I heard from someone that Zoe appeared at a temple in Gangwon. Joe, and when I got there, I realized I had been scammed. These real-life things, I actually believe them now. This world is truly scary. How strange. No one could write a story they've witnessed in 20,000 characters, right? Just 20,000 characters is enough to pull it off if the king receives the real template. He can even print out the Heart Sutra. A sermon comment popped up. Heaven and hell are real. Heaven is where we live happily forever beside the angels God has sent. Hell is where those who do not believe in God must suffer pain and misery forever. Faith is the only path to salvation. Please, follow God's angels and receive salvation. There began to be weary comments about the person who just offered those morals. That fake rapper is at it again. Here, Jirok was scratching his head while continuing to monitor the comments. But no matter what, how could he get rid of the monsters and the rift at the same time? Doesn't that sound like a scam? That's thanks to the Constellation's special skill. I'm a law student in the top tier. But honestly, I couldn't do things like that. He sat thoughtfully, reading what everyone was discussing. You can tell just by looking. If you're not constantly reaching top 1, you won't understand them. Is there compensation? So lucky. I work near Gaseongjung. I thought things like this. It would be enough, he grumbled uncomfortably. Compensation? Is it worth his status? What a madman talking like a little kid. Jirok stood up from his chair, muttering, I'm just annoyed, that's why I haven't left my room. I'm sure they've noticed me again. A voice suddenly rang out, Oh yes, hello, catching his attention. Conversations were whispering outside the room. Last time I contacted you, yes, that's right. Ah, yes. Sunjo sat in a corner in a gloomy mood, answering the phone. Yes, I have a daughter about 20 years old, she replied in a cold tone. Follow her for a while. Oh no, I was thinking of sending her to a temple. Jiro covered his mouth, trembling, thinking, Mother, what kind of crap is sending your own child to a temple? Does she feel happy flying out like that? He took a picture of this and secretly messaged his older sister, Enjoy your freedom, my dear sister. At this moment, a notification window appeared. Special skill, library, successfully activated. The notification window displayed information. Identity verification complete. Opening authority for Jeon Seo. She immediately ordered, record all information within a 1-kilometer radius. She flung her feather pen and read the deployment command. The pages flew and fluttered everywhere as if they had wings. Simultaneously, countless notification windows appeared, providing countless information to Geo. She ordered, eliminate the ability for rifts to occur. Jo Hyun was surprised, thinking, the future, it's changing. At this moment, she asked, do you still want anything else? You only have a few seconds left to speak. Don't forget anything important, he replied. Ah, yes. He was dazed by the things happening before his eyes, witnessing them with his own eyes. Jo-hyun watched as Geo held the feather pen and waved it into the air, creating lines of ancient text. He didn't understand, so he marveled internally. This is the Mage King. She moved the pen faster and faster. A notification window popped up. Editing complete. She turned and asked, "That should do it, right?" Even though it was a question, Geo didn't wait for Jo-hyun to answer. She took off running and shouted, "Because of our actions all this time, I'm sick of you. See you never again." He stood behind her and also shouted, "Wait, hold on. Wait!" As she ran, she guessed with the intuition of a novel reader. In her imagination, Jo-hyun kept flattering her. "Such a high-tier item, where did you pick it up?" "Mage King, let's go to the Tower of Babel together, Mage King." Then he shoved her into a hospital and said, "Mage King, do you think the equipment in the nursing home is good?" Geo boldly guessed that the protagonist would risk assassinating the strongest people in the world. Obviously, he intended to follow her to the death and assassinate her. Her phone in her pocket vibrated. She immediately ducked into the side of the road, took out her phone, and grumbled, "Finally, there's Wi-Fi. Who is looking for me in this urgent situation?" But what Geo read on her phone made her turn to stone because she received a message from Mom's favorite child. "Mom is in your room. Come home and clean it up." The image of her younger brother and her gentle mother were like gunshots, hitting two critical hits into her mind. Messages from her younger brother kept popping up. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She immediately ducked to the side of the road and pulled it out, grumbling under her breath, "Finally, some Wi-Fi. Who on earth would be calling in a moment like this?" But then, what Geo read on her phone left her frozen in place. She had received a message from her precious little brother. "Mom is in your room, sis. You'd better get home and clean up." The images of her younger brother and her gentle mother hit her mind like two fatal gunshots, one after another. Messages from her brother kept popping up endlessly. "Darling, it sounds like Mom is talking to a consultant at a temple in Gangwon. From what I heard, it seems you have to go there and pray to the Buddha every single morning. Make sure to enjoy these last few days, my dear sister." She screams desperately in her heart, "No! No way!" Do-hyun searches around, wondering, where on earth did she run off to? He's a bit worried. It's getting late. Geo stands silently by his side, then suddenly calls out, "Hey, young man!" and asks if he has enough money to enter the house. He is bewildered by the sudden question. "Me? Me?" Geo sighs, utterly exhausted. Utterly. Then she runs a hand through her hair, looking incredibly cool and radiant, and suggests, "Could you let me crash at your place?" He freezes. His mind is filled with three giant words. "Huh? Huh? Huh?" Right in front of him, Geo winks and gives him a thumbs up. After a short while, "Processing the information," he shouts. "You want me to let you crash here?" Suddenly, in the gray sky covered with black clouds, a painful voice echoes, "Wake up!" Coughing up blood, the injured boy just smiles painfully and replies, "Damn, that hurts like hell." Seeing Jirak still joking around, he gets annoyed and says, "Is this really the time to be laughing? Are you kidding me?" He continues coughing, but completely ignores the scolding and changes the subject. "Oh, our kind-hearted Do-hyun." Looking up at the sky, contemplative, he asks, "What would you do with me if I had a DS Machina that hadn't been used yet?" Hearing the question, Do-hyun is startled. As he turns towards him, Do-hyun gathers his wits and shouts angrily, "What kind of joke is that? Stop the bleeding first!" But Jirak suddenly reaches out, surprising him. Jirak grabs his collar tightly, his eyes filled with murderous intent, whispering, "Remember this, from now on, don't tell anyone anything you've seen." Do-hyun is still totally confused. "What?" he asks, but Jirak lets go and collapses, passing out. Just as Do-hyun is in a state of panic, a massive lightning bolt strikes behind him with a loud crack. Hearing the deafening sound, he panics and turns around, staring in shock, thinking, how did that happen so suddenly? A monster falls from the sky, scorched by the lightning. Do-hyun is stunned. The monster. He didn't expect something so massive to come flying toward him, forcing him to shield his face from the immense pressure. When Do-hyun opens his eyes and looks into the strong wind, he is so shocked, he stands frozen. Up in the sky, a magnificent dragon is spreading its wings in midair, leaving him stunned. As he looks closer, Do-hyun realizes who is up there. a figure of great power, a mage king, riding on the back of a black dragon, flying straight toward him. Once the dragon lands, she doesn't hesitate and jumps right off. Truly someone with extraordinary abilities. As she lands, a brilliant light sparkles beneath her feet. She walks up to him and coldly asks, "Hey, are you the one who did this to him? Speak the truth now." Do-hyun looks at the injured Jirok, gritting his teeth in sorrow, and confesses everything. "I have no responsibility in this, but those wounds, I didn't cause them. Still, it is my fault. I am truly sorry." But Geo coldly changes the subject. "What is your name?" He looks at her with such murderous intensity that he hesitates. "My name is Baek Do-hyun." Once she knows his name, she glances him up and down as if scanning for information. After gathering the data, Gio takes off her hood and compliments him. The Good-Willed Protector. That's a fancy title. Under the sunlight, Do-hyun sees her face flickering. Gio smiles, with a radiant beauty, saying to him, "Looks like I'll have to trouble you, pal." At this moment, as it gets dark, the two return to Baek Do-hyun's house. He had just come back from shopping and hesitantly says, "I've bought a toothbrush and the essentials, but..." Do-hyun looks at her lying on his bed, feeling completely at home, and asks confusedly, "Is this where you're planning to sleep?" To this question, Gio doesn't care and just asks, "Are you back? Open the melon ice cream and give it to me." She doesn't forget to tease him a little. "Why is the Wi-Fi password so simple? 123456789. Do-hyun only hands her the ice cream to lure Gio into sitting up. "Here, melon ice cream." Before handing it over, he suddenly pulls it back. Do-hyun seriously demands, "Promise me that you will brush your teeth and organize your socks and house slippers." Gio groans. "So annoying!" Do-hyun doesn't give in, angrily grabbing the blanket and saying, "No! You'll get cavities! Haven't you been eating candy too?" Seeing this, Gio finally agrees, I know, just give it here." He isn't easily swayed and continues to lecture her strictly. "I'll give you clothes too, so go change and go to sleep." At this moment, seeing the ice cream, she only cares about getting it and says, "Huh? The clothes I'm wearing are comfortable enough." Do-hyun won't yield, retorting, "If you sleep in your outdoor clothes, you'll get rhinitis from the dust." While he's distracted, she snatches the ice cream and says, "Ugh, I know already, geez." Do-hyun is left speechless, thinking he's been playing with a cat the whole time. The Mage King. Meanwhile, Gio is smugly saying, "You just need to obediently hand it over to me." Do-hyun watches Gio is eating the ice cream, wondering to himself, don't people who run away from home feel even a little bit sad? But right at that moment, there's a message notification from the bulletin board. "Congratulations to South Korea for successfully clearing the 38th floor of the Tower of Babylon." Next comes recent news. The Guild has rung the bell for this victory. The Republic of Korea, Tower of Babylon, 39th floor has been opened. Domestic server, Republic of Korea, the #1 ranker in the country, as well as announcements regarding rankings that everyone has been interested in lately. Republic of Korea domestic server, channel of the #1 ranker in the country. I didn't expect everyone to be talking about the ranking. Alpha, good work. Director Huang, 8 David, is that Twilight? What a cruel jerk. That I will also complete it. In just one day. 12 Sang luck has arrived. This is the 3rd time I've given up halfway. Unfortunately, the ranking hasn't changed. 6 King of late night snacks, you jerk. Hurry up and send the coordinates. 8 #1 ranking. Who would have thought that while Gio is eating ice cream and doesn't want to participate, she gets asked? 8 David, are you watching? I heard you went to the CEO's office today. How long are you going to stay mysterious? But she has to send the message twice to get one response from Zoe. With the rise of the mystics, everyone is buzzing and searching for her. It turns out Whitebird belongs to that group too, not just as a follower. Is that all? Man, I'm so embarrassed. I couldn't even make it into the top 5 rankings with my magical insects, while Jirok, where is she? While everyone was curious, Jiro was satisfied and proud, thinking, as expected, Jirok is amazing. He really is my bias. For someone like me, I don't even need to study. My hairstyle being this decent is enough. And then suddenly, another text message from Mom's precious boy. Hey, why? Why aren't you coming home? Seriously, just because you're still alive today, are you just planning on living like a vagabond? Gio just stared at it, then lay down to sleep. She looked at the message for a moment, then lay there, tired and thinking, I don't know, whatever. Right at that moment, she didn't want to sleep yet, so she turned and asked out of curiosity, I have a question. It might be a bit late, but do you live alone? Jiro Hyun replied gently, You're still not asleep? Yes, I live alone. He didn't hide anything and shared his story. I don't have any siblings, and my parents passed away in an accident when I was young. I lived in a big house until middle school, then moved here. After finishing his story, he asked, But why are you suddenly looking into my background? Surprisingly, after hearing that, she felt sleepy and rubbed her eyes. Just wanted to ask. Since I'm in the house of a man I don't know, I felt I should know at least a little something. Same goes for me. Because you're a woman I don't know either. At this point, he also had a question and spoke up. I don't even know your name. Hearing this, she turned around in surprise. She asked back, You don't know my name? He said what he knew. Zoe is the Mage King, and I only know you seem younger than me. When? Gio didn't answer, but there was a rustling sound as she approached, making him freeze. She got off the bed and slowly walked over to face him directly. I heard you have returned. Gio didn't hesitate to face him, asking, You didn't even tell me that? Seeing Jiro Hyun still silent, she continued, Let me guess. Is it because we aren't that close? Being pressed like that, he hesitated, nervous, and looked away. But then Jiro Hyun agreed, blushing, I will only say this once. Just once. At that moment, he remembered that fateful day and poured his heart out. Even though I haven't told anyone, I have never forgotten the look of your back from that day. Jiro Hyun's gaze was always fixed on them, whispering to himself, Until the day I die. After he finished sharing, she spoke softly. Because she spoke in a rush, he couldn't hear her and asked, Huh? She wasn't in a hurry and said again, Dio. My name is Dio. After introducing herself, she teased him. So from now on, you can't say you don't know my name anymore. Got it? Jiro Hyun just replied vaguely, feeling shy. Is that so? Meanwhile, at the company, Babylon Hunter looked at his contact list. He couldn't get through, making Jirok pull at his hair, fuming. Honestly, you are giving me a headache. Remembering that, he groaned. You're driving me crazy. Jirok looked at her profile picture and mentioned his sister. Sejong walked in and saw him holding his head in pain and understood what was going on. His sister said, Are you being that firm? Hearing that, Jirok was embarrassed and didn't know how to hide his face. So embarrassing! Keep it down, I'm dying here! Seeing him like that, he said helplessly, There are even more embarrassing things than that. Suddenly, Jirok became serious, remembering, It's not that I blame Gio alone, Jirok. At this moment, he reminisced about the past. The arguments we had at the university were a bit weird, too. That's just because she refused to study. She's naturally smart. It's not that bad. Was there cheating in this entrance exam? Just as everyone predicted, he helplessly started, Here it comes, here it comes. Sejong heard it and understood why he had a headache. It turned out he was worried about that. But this time, unexpectedly, he darkened, thinking, Cheating is banned, you know. I can feel it. Jirok tried every way to ask about his house. You're a chaebol anyway, don't you want to look into it? Is there some secret cooperation going on? But he was still confused and asked back, But why your sister? Sejong smoothly changed the subject, smooth as water, like a vice guild leader of Babylon. Right then, he suddenly thought of something and said, Right. Sejong was confused and asked, What? Jirok then remembered and started, startled and angry. He slammed the table and cried out, She ran away from home! Seeing him react so strongly, he replied, She's an adult anyway, isn't being independent a good thing? But Jirok was even more worried. You don't understand the severity of the situation right now. She left home without a penny, and she doesn't even have a credit card. In this cold world, she can only sell matches to survive. Domi looked at Jirok, losing his mind, and was confused. What on earth? But Jirok didn't care and turned away. He imagined his sister having to hawk her goods, crying, Buy some matches! Buy some matches! Everyone is completely insane, seeing Jirok. Like that occasionally, Sejong was already used to it and didn't react on the outside to this helplessness. Seeing that, he turned back to the work in his hands, reading a bit of the official cooperation proposal between the 5 major guilds regarding the 39th floor of the Babylon Tower. Babylon Guild, proposed strengthening the guidance function to recruit new talent. After that, he thought tiredly about him. This 20-year-old old man is really hard to please. And at that moment, on the other side, Gio just heard some news and was shocked. What? You? Can't be serious. She couldn't believe her ears and asked back, You're going away? For a whole week? Jiro-hyun replied calmly. That's right. Gio asked anxiously, Then what about my food? But he still calmly said, You'll just have to cook for yourself. What else? Not stopping there, she asked about the housework. Then who will buy my groceries? We'll figure that out later. What about the laundry? What about the cleaning? Seeing him not answer, she kept rambling, making him annoyed. There are still other trivial things. It seemed she didn't realize that anger and continued to ask, What about loading the game? And if insects appear, who will catch them? When the anger flooded over, Jiro-hyun was furious. With a huff, she turned to scold him, saying that because she just lay around at home eating, if she didn't do chores like laundry and bug extermination, all they'd have to eat would be breadcrumbs. She brushed off his lecture about her bad habits, saying if she kept eating while lying down like that, she'd get acid reflux or even diabetes. She didn't take it lying down, though. She shouted back, What are you trying to say? If that's the case, are you going to abandon me, stop paying my medical bills, and just walk away? Do-hyun didn't back down either, replying, When did I ever say that? Seeing she couldn't win the argument, Gio started throwing a tantrum right in front of him. I don't know, I hate you. But Do-hyun wouldn't give in. He said, Is that all you've got to say? Don't you dare add fuel to the fire. Sit down and let's talk this out properly. At that, Gio turned the tables, scolding him back. I don't like that, you self-righteous jerk. And to his surprise, right then, she started spilling her true feelings. You don't even season the soybean paste stew properly. That line left them both speechless, causing a sudden, awkward ceasefire. After saying it, Gio realized she'd slipped up and quickly covered her mouth. The dishwashing gloves she was wearing dripped water onto the floor with a rhythmic, audible sound. Then Do-hyun, his face darkened, asked, You said it was delicious before, didn't you? Ignoring the water still dripping, he passionately recounted the recipe, 100% from scratch. I even added brisket to it. To his surprise, the notification board suddenly chimed in, Ability, thick-skinned, temporarily disabled. Gio quickly tried to save face. About what I said just now, I was wrong. The soybean stew was actually really delicious. Do-hyun asked skeptically, Is that so? Even though she was flustered, she had to say, It was a bit sweet, but still good. Gio even gave him a thumbs up. Just do better next time, okay? Cheer up. Do-hyun, obedient as a puppy, replied, Yes, I will reflect on it and try harder. Just then, the notification board chimed again. Ability. Thick-skinned has been upgraded to a new level. Second task complete. Would you like to change your job to professional swindler? But she didn't forget to ask him. By the way, where are you planning to go in a week? Seeing this, he took off his gloves and said, It's because of this. Do-hyun rolled up his sleeve to show her his arm. A Babel Tower ticket. An invitation to Babel Tower. Once opened, like a music box, it leaves a mark on the potential awakener's body. The remaining time, until the guide opens, is displayed. It's usually gold or different colors depending on the purpose. Gio realized what it was and felt confused. A Babel ticket? If it's gold, it can't be transferred, right? Aren't you supposed to be very weak? Why would you... He didn't hide anything and explained. It's sealed for now, but Do-hyun didn't forget to reiterate. I promised I'd only accept it if it met me and gave me the choice again, along with my constellation. However, she asked incredulously, You believe in that? Constellations are fickle. Do-hyun added, In other words, it might not choose you again. Yet, he looked at her with a steady gaze. He replied, I don't believe in gods. I only believe firmly that I will walk my own path no matter what happens. He said, It returned once, even though I abandoned my holy ground. Suddenly, Do-hyun radiated a light of truth, saying, That is why my faith has changed. I don't really know either. Just like that, Gio suddenly saw it, covered her eyes, and asked, confused, What is that? Where is this blinding light coming from? She started to feel worried, thinking, If it keeps going like this, I'm going to end up as a munchkin cat assistant to the protagonist in this emotional melodrama. I see a halo. Suddenly, the Reader of Destiny appeared and said, Your constellation, the Reader of Destiny, is annoyed. Behave yourself before he gets angry. What halo? Open your eyes properly, there's no such thing. After hearing that, she believed him and slowly opened her eyes. Huh? There's nothing? She looked at Do-hyun, bewildered. There's really nothing. What just happened? Gio started changing the subject. Whatever, let's just leave it at that. Then, to his surprise, she quickly ran to the blanket to sleep. That's enough for today, you've worked hard. I'm going to sleep. You're going to sleep already? She started to feel hot and thought, it's too hot under the blanket. Seeing her wanting to sleep, he had no choice but to walk out, saying, Get some rest. I'll turn off the lights. After he left and the door closed, Gio dared to peek out. Surprisingly, just as she was tossing and turning, the Reader of Destiny appeared and said, You have no idea how annoying a man can be when he's jealous. That's why I warned you to go home quickly. But she felt annoyed and shouted, Shut up, you one-time used shooting star. He didn't care and kept teasing her. Ignoring the fact that you're chasing me away. What's with shooting star? That's a new nickname, she thought. He was just making fun of Baek Do-hyun. And now this? If I go back, I'm going to spam him with questions. Who are you? Not wanting to think about it anymore, she turned and said wearily, Fine, it's not worth worrying about. Just disappear. Suddenly, the Reader of Destiny appeared, right there, calling her name, Yeonseo. No one knew when he had snuck in through the fluttering window. He gently walked over to her and watched her. The Reader of Destiny looked at her sleeping soundly and thought to himself, I like it best when you're angry like that. But the Reader of Destiny gently stroked her while denying the regression she had mentioned earlier. Then he silently whispered a resolution to himself. I won't let you struggle like that ever again, even if it's from the very beginning. Meanwhile, on a program, two hosts were happily greeting the viewers. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Babel is always bringing you the latest news. I'm MC Mona. I'm MC Lisa. They delivered shocking information to everyone. Last night, Guild War of Top 6 Twilight, led by the front, brought a great victory to Korea. Mona smiled brightly and happily told everyone, Because of this, everyone is even more expectant about the 39th floor. After 5 months of opening, this is a battle between 9 regions, so surely everyone will choose the most outstanding person for the arena, right? Lisa coordinated smoothly with her partner. That's right. This is an event that only happens twice a year and will create new, stimulating factors. Thanks to the Guide Week, because this is the week for training. The tower floors will be closed. By the way, the facilities will be... So the tower levels will be locked down. By the way, the facilities will be... With the Instruction Week coming up, it seems like public attention is about to go through the roof. Plus, there's another piece of breaking news. A theory that the top candidates for this new era might be chosen by the constellations. That year, when the 29th floor opened, 2 super rookies appeared, Gion Zero and Twilight. Should we get our hopes up for a new S rank? But they need to learn more. And before that, let's take a look at this trending video. Breaking news, 1 minute. This video has a message. If you're Korean, please give us a hand. A hero was spotted at Seongrung Station. Seeing Do-hyun look so sharp on camera, even Gio back home couldn't help but compliment him. Whoa, Butler Beck looks really good on screen. But while she was intently watching, a text came in from Mom's little darling. Sis, have you checked the rankings yet? She was feeling pumped, but seeing that message, she didn't want to reply. What's his problem? Trying to pick a fight with me? Twilight must be ranked pretty high for him to... She couldn't believe it. When Gio checked, she froze. Her rank had dropped, and someone else had climbed above her. Seeing her go quiet, Jiro texted again. Are you crying? I knew it. You'd be just like that. Gio couldn't believe her eyes, but looking closer she was even more shocked. Her current domestic rank, Gio, was number 2. The more he texted, the less she answered, which made him text again. Hey, don't do anything stupid. While Gio was in a daze, her little brother kept going. Do you really think you could stay at number 1 forever? Actually, this is better. Looking at the board now, it's a lot more humane. But he got worried when she wouldn't reply, making him lose his cool. What is going on? Pick up the phone or I'm putting out an arrest warrant for you. She was completely out of it, lost in her own headspace. Give me back my number 1. Meanwhile, someone else was taking a bath at home when a visitor asked, "Excuse me, do you have an appointment with a client at home today?" He stepped out to light a cigarette, annoyed. Instruction week is about to start. Why would I have an appointment? But he was still curious and asked what was going on. Nothing much. It's just that out in the hallway, in the waiting lobby, the security guards are having a hard time with a person. You can't do that here. Being this stubborn won't get you anywhere. However, Gio didn't care and just sat there, ignoring the whispers and the guards telling her that for security reasons, no one was allowed inside unless they were a resident or had a prior appointment. You can't stay like that, we have no other choice. But she just sat firm and retorted, "Are you guys even thinking straight? I'm just a regular person. If you touch me, you're going to jail." The guards wanted to clear the scene, saying, "This is a busy lobby, please don't be like this." Suddenly, she was pulled up by someone. Behind her, everyone immediately recognized him as Vice President Biom, age unknown, the 7th-ranked powerhouse in Korea. He turned around coldly and said to them, "Everyone, go back to work. I'll handle things here." He then helplessly whispered, "This girl has a bad habit of threatening people." But the guards saw her stick her tongue out at them and were flustered. "Yes, sir!" When they left, everyone bowed and said, "We apologize." Biom dragged the stubborn girl away, asking, "Is that true?" He then slowly leaned down to ask, "Wait." When they got to the room, Biom saw her causing a scene. I was puzzled. "I already gave you the key. Why were you making such a ruckus downstairs?" But she nonchalantly replied, "I lost it." Hearing that, Biom let out a sigh of defeat. "I'm going to install an app on your phone, so make sure you keep track of it." Seeing her again, he felt something was odd and asked, "And one more thing, I don't think I've ever seen this outfit before." Gio tried to dodge the question. "What are you talking about? I wear it all the time." "It's been so long since we met and you're acting like we're so close." Knowing she wouldn't spill, he gave up on arguing further. "Fine, meeting you really is difficult." After 3 months apart, she showed up in a guy's oversized clothes that didn't fit her at all, but she still insisted they were hers. Seeing that, she blamed someone else, saying they belonged to Gion Zero. However, he wasn't born yesterday. "I can smell the rain on you, I know." As she stammered, trying to change the subject, she said, "Anyway, I came here because I have something to talk about. Are you busy?" But he brushed it off, saying, "It's 11 o'clock. I still have to prepare." Seeing him in such a rush, she was a bit confused until she finally realized, "Oh, preparing for today?" Remembering Do-hyun leaving home, she finally understood what was going on. Instruction week is opening soon. No. 11:49, that's right. It's instruction week. Suddenly, Gio asked the constellation reader of fate, "Sir, I have a question. What is instruction week?" It's a national event held twice a year, aiming to provide stimulation for everyone during this time. Access to the tower is restricted. She still didn't quite get it and said, "That's the explanation?" "Oh?" He hadn't expected her to have such dirty thoughts. "So that guy will probably be staying together, right?" At this, Gio stopped caring, stood up and said, "The reason I'm here is..." Before she could even say it, he already knew. "Give me back my number one." Bing. That, she shot him a glance and said, "Right? You're done changing? Let's head to the tower together. You take a rest for a bit." However, he was concerned and said, "You've lost weight. Make sure you eat properly." But she didn't care and laid down to sleep. What a jerk. While she was lying there, the constellation notification from her reader of fate mocked him. What a total scumbag. Standing there shirtless in front of someone else. Is that really morally right? Even the reader of fate criticized him, saying it was too provocative. But she didn't care and determinedly said, "I just need to be 10 years older, that's all." Then, she suddenly remembered the past, holding flowers while watching him walk away until she burst into tears. Melancholy, remembering that moment, she realized, so, maybe back then I wouldn't have been rejected. Hearing this, the reader of fate nodded and said that even though he was a bit of a bad luck charm, he was a good person. Seeing him tease Biom made her roll her eyes in annoyance. "Are you trying to pick a fight, Biom?" Just as he was leaving, he called for Gio, and now that he's here, he's got the info on the rank 1 holder of the Silver Lion Guild, a man with terrifying power. It's the largest and oldest guild with a deep history. The current leader, Yoon Seo-kwan, is a living legend who has held the top spot for a long time. Even before Jae appeared, he was a Korean warrior who fought disasters on the front lines. Jeo, listening to this, got angry and scolded him. Then he should just hand over the rank 1 spot to someone else. He's already famous. He could at least show some mercy to the younger generation. Beom, seeing her complain like that, tried to comfort her. Are you sure? Why don't you consider that maybe it's just because you're lazy? Jeo couldn't accept that. She couldn't believe it, calling this country frustrating. Beom called out to her, "Hey, Jeo." However, she remembered how Beom used to wander the streets as a child until Yoon Seo-kwan took him in. Just by looking at him, you knew he'd make something of himself by 30. But there was something odd. The massive sealed engravings on his back were proof of his strength. In this world, everyone knows how talented he is. He even keeps many techniques hidden. She also understood why he's called the Silver Lion's son. He's recognized as Yoon Seo-kwan's right-hand man and was the first protector of Dre, who became a level 3 awakened 10 years ago. Since she understood what kind of person Beom is, one of the few who knows her true identity, it's hard to argue with him. Suddenly, Beom interrupted her thoughts. It's only temporary. He recalled that early this morning the old man had broken down the door. Beom recounted that moment. There are no limits anymore. Thinking back, he felt helpless. He said this is the lion's last roar before sunset, so we have to take it seriously. So who is truly on the top? As he turned to look at her, implying something to Jeo, she was speechless. Beom, seeing her blank expression, softly asked, "Right, Your Majesty?" Jeo shyly turned away and said, "Don't coddle me, you jerk." But Beom teased her. "Don't you love it when I call you that? What a weird hobby." Beom then shared the truth. After he retires, he plans to demolish the Silver Lion building. That sounds terrifying. Jeo brought up what she'd heard. Out in public, he has such a glorious reputation. You've been fooled, right? But at home, he doesn't even shave and just lies around scratching his belly. Beom laughed, saying, "That's cute too." "Damn it!" Seeing Beom tease her, she yelled, "Are you making fun of me?" Just then, a notification appeared on the building's screen. The top 10 rankings. 1. Yoon Seo-kwan. 2. Jae. 3. Gun Jong-ju. 4. Yaibird. 5. Jeon Gyorok. 6. Twin Light. 7. Beom. 8. Choi David. 9. Kim Se-gyun. 10. Hongjo. After arriving at their destination, Jeo walked away coldly. "I'm going first. Goodbye." Beom watched her go, smiling to himself as he muttered, "How can someone lie so adorably? She's such a kid." Right then, at the building where the rankings were shown, a participant was being checked by a staff member. "Your ticket has been confirmed." "My name is..." She smiled brightly, introducing herself. "Na Joseon." Joseon remembered being taught by her mother. "Joseon, have you ever heard the story of Queen Gongsang?" Seeing her mother ask that, Joseon asked, "Mother, how can I take the queen's name?" Her mother excitedly said that it was because of that old proverb, that she had tried not to give up on her dream. Seeing her mother like that, she revealed, "Do you know why your name is Joseon? You were named after the queen." After saying that, her mother became serious. "But there is one thing you must know. Ultimately, your happiness is yours to decide." Joseon didn't understand and asked, "Huh? What do you mean?" Her mother explained, "The world always favors the protagonist. Either they are the absolute best, or they are the most downtrodden. Their lives always make a huge impact. They can even shake the heavens. But what about the middle of the pyramid? A place no one looks at, peaceful and comfortable." After a moment, she pointed at her daughter. "With determination," she said, "Joseon, you will be a winner. Remember that, my daughter." Feeling empowered, Joseon determinedly said, "Just you wait, mother. From today on, this daughter will stand beside the protagonist. As a supporting character, I will step out into the world." When she reached the door, she froze, looking at the rankings. Top 10 rankings: 1. Yoon Seo-kwan. 2. Jae. 3. Empty. 4. Yaibird. 5. Gi-hun. 6. Z-Rock. 7. Bin Light. 8. Beom. 9. Choi David. 10. Kim Se-kyung. Wait, missed rank 10. When she saw that the person she liked had dropped in rank, she was shocked. 1. Yoon Seo-kwan. 2. Dre. Joseon cried in her heart, Your Majesty. Everyone else who saw the news was also shocked. This morning was the day the rankings were updated, causing chaos across the country. Oh! Everyone reading the news was stunned. Oh! Flew across the world. No one could believe it. Well, of course, if it's Your Majesty, I believe that he can definitely take back the #1 spot. Joseon decided to bury her sadness and seek revenge for the one she likes. I will definitely become a wonderful supporting character for him. I will become the #1 assistant and defeat everyone who tries to bother my majesty. Suddenly, someone walked over and asked, so we have to be careful when choosing a nickname, right? Romy saw Joseon standing alone and greeted her. Who would have thought that once you lock it in, you can't change it? There are even names like King of Late Night Snacks on the application forms. Have you chosen your nickname yet? Joseon was startled but replied, I am Joseon. Just Josie. Seeing Joseon like that, Romy complimented her. How cute! I'm Romy. Romy led her inside, excitedly saying, so many people came today, it's a great guide. Joseon was deep in thought. Romy added, we met at the subway station earlier, remember? Finally, they arrived at the place. Joseon looked around the inside, saying, this is the gathering hall? Hearing everyone talking so loudly, Joseon had a bit of culture shock. There are so many people. She got a headache and thought, I can't. Na Joseon. After all, everyone here is just a supporting character. Then, Joseon looked around and thought, the protagonists are watching this place through the observation room. That's the rumor, at least. There's no reason for me to lose this battle between supporting characters. Suddenly, Romy pulled someone over. Sister! Sister Joseon! She pointed at the person she had just pulled over, enthusiastically saying, you two should greet each other. This is the person I met at the subway station earlier. This person is pretty solid, too. He even said he was determined to win first place. Seeing that, Joseon was confused and asked, Romy, why did you— Come on, don't be so shy. Just go ahead and say hello. The other person, clearly flustered and timid, hesitantly reached out their hand to introduce themselves. Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Beck. Zohyun Joseon froze the moment she saw him. Wait, let me think. A realization hit her. She remembered this name, and he definitely wasn't just some side character. She was in the observer room. Deep inside the Babel Tower, the top 100 rankers were all gathering in one place. David walked in, taking in the scene. Why are you complaining so much? It looks like paradise in here. Why do we have to act like this? Whitebird chimed in, clearly annoyed. David, stop saying such weird things. I don't want any trouble. These two were none other than Whitebird, ranked 4th in the national rankings, and David, ranked 8th. She marched over, found a seat, and cursed under her breath. Damn it, I'm busy as hell, and yet I get dragged here. What is the point? Seeing her like this, Whitebird teased. Busy? That's the first time I've ever heard you say that. Being provoked like that made David shout, Hey, you annoying Whitebird! Don't you care who might hear you? This is Babel's official holiday. Exactly. So naturally we should be enjoying it to the fullest. Everyone else, seeing how noisy they were, wisely chose not to bother the two girls. Belong to Hida, right? Stop staring and pretending you don't know anything. Still, Whitebird reminded her, the candidates this time are very special, so you have to be ready. Her heart started pounding as she asked, Special? What's so special about them? They were talking about the 19th, 29th, and 39th floors. The chances of a third golden generation emerging were extremely high. David tried to recall, puzzled. The 29th floor. That's about Bambi and that guy who's obsessed with late-night snacks, right? But whose floor is the 19th again? Seeing her struggle, Whitebird sighed. You really are forgetful. But hey, you're an S rank too. David, flustered by the compliment, turned her face away, blushing like a tomato. Don't butter me up like that. I wonder if everyone from our channel is going to show up. Suddenly, Whitebird remembered. I'm not sure about the others, but Mr. Yoon Seo Kwan is definitely coming. Continued. It took a moment, but then she realized. So, the lion is coming too? No sooner had she said it than two people walked in. Observer room, rank 1, Yoon Seo Kwan is entering. Observer room, rank 16, An Chasan is entering. The two walked in, drawing everyone's gaze before finding a place to sit. Then the doors opened again, and two more figures stepped inside. Observer room, rank 5, Yeonji Rock is entering. Seeing him, someone asked angrily, Is our young master still throwing a tantrum? However, Syrup denied it while still fuming. I told you no. Stop asking, damn it! Why the hell can't I reach that lazy slug? As they walked down the hallway, Seorong looked around to check things out, while Syrup was still fuming and cursing. I hate this! That's enough. Just then, someone else arrived. Observer room, rank 3. Young Ji-woon is entering. He walked in with a bright smile, greeting everyone. Hey everyone, you're all doing well, right? Following him, another person arrived. Observer room, rank 6. Twilight is entering. He was talking loudly on the phone. Mom, I can take care of my own health. Why are you making me take supplements? Just because I skip a meal doesn't mean I'll die. You should worry about my younger sibling instead. Seeing him like that, his bodyguard reminded him, Sir, the door is open. He ignored him. Yeah, Director Kim. I'm busy right now, so let's discuss our business another time, okay? Someone watching from above was shocked to see the major powers arriving. Continued. As expected, the 9 heads from the last period, Silver, Leong, Alpha, Twilight, they've all come. The two started whispering about what might happen next. The competition among the rookies will be fierce, that's for sure. I wonder, could another S rank appear? There are only 4 so far. Bambi, Twilight, David, and as they were talking, someone else arrived. Observer room, rank 7, Belm is entering. Anonymous observer is entering. After that, they opened the door and walked in with great confidence, showing no fear at all. Seeing him arrive, the others exclaimed with admiration, Look, it's Belm! So cool! As expected of the lion's right-hand man, of course he'd show up. They looked at the mysterious hooded figure and said, So, everyone who needed to come is finally here. As Geo stepped down toward David's section, continued, she saw that face and jolted, suddenly realizing who it was. Even the arrogant Twilight, when his gaze brushed against that presence, was visibly startled. Because when anyone made eye contact with her, they were hit by the cold, sharp gaze hidden beneath that cloak. As Geo walked past, everyone followed her with their eyes. She walked expressionless, wrapped in an aura of pure killing intent. That made everyone realize who she was. Ji-woon, sitting below, noticed her from above and realized it too. He smiled slightly, thinking, It seems like Lucifer has finally appeared in the room where the demons are gathering. Continued. By now, she had already sat down. Realizing the weight of their gazes, she stayed silent and thoughtful. She pulled her hood down further to stay cautious, thinking, These people, they probably think no one recognizes them. But the fact that they did recognize her left her flustered. They're so sharp, aren't they? She recalled David and Twilight and sighed, falling into deep thought. This is exactly why I hate rankers. They're way too perceptive. She faced a bit of a hurdle, worrying to herself. I'm usually very confident in controlling my magical power, but this time... She recalled what happened earlier. The notification window had warned her. It seems like this is your first time here. Welcome to the Babel Tower, Geo. Access to floors. Other than the ground floor is currently restricted due to the ongoing tutorial process. During the tutorial, Geo achieved rank 2, and you have been granted access to the observer room as one of the highest-ranking members of Babel Tower. Would you like to enter? Yes or no? Continued. While she waited to make her choice, the notification continued. Your constellation, the Reader of Destiny, has unleashed a portion of its power. The unique incarnation of truth, Geo, has finished the adjustment of fluctuation values. The title Sage of All Knowledge is responding to the Babel Tower. The first title, King of Sorcery, is responding to the Babel Tower. Geo stood frozen, looking blankly at the multiple notification screens popping up in front of her. She panicked, thinking, Why are there so many? They're popping up everywhere. Why is this so intense? It's way too much. The notification provided the main point. Your constellation, the Reader of Destiny, reveals that the door is about to open. Her hands broke into a sweat, worried that she wouldn't be able to continue her life in seclusion anymore. Seeing that, she jolted and pulled her cloak down tightly to cover her face, letting out a long sigh. Oh my God, I let my guard down. Even a pro like me. Still feeling rattled, she quickly stepped down the stairs, biting her lip in thought. No wonder the constellations kept pestering me to enter the tower. She could feel eyes staring at her. She frowned, deep in thought. It seemed a few people recognized her, but those on Channel 1 would surely keep it a secret. If some lunatic dared to leak her identity, she would... deliver justice. If they dared to act up against her, she'd beat them until they couldn't recognize their own faces. Just do what you want, honey, she thought, feeling reassured now that her magic power had stabilized. She didn't need to fear anyone anymore. Only that crazy guy Bambi was still there, staring straight at her from behind. She instinctively pulled her hood down and continued walking toward the side. Seo Guan. She tilted her head and called out to him softly, I'm here now. You seem to be doing well lately, old man. Chasan frowned and stepped down to sit next to him, irritably cutting her off. I don't know who you are, but why are you being so rude? Bam, standing further away, signaled for silence. He spoke to her. Chasan, the CEO, glanced at the newcomer. When he saw it was Zio, his face softened slightly, and he slowly broke into a smile before speaking. You're still the same, aren't you? It's been a while. Good to see you again. Have you been doing well lately? Zio ignored him, stepped forward a few stairs, and sat down. Pouting, she replied, Well, at least I was doing fine until this morning. Seo Guan chuckled and said, There must have been someone who caused a massive scene, like stealing your throne, for you to actually take action. I'm getting old, so I only just learned about this. Zio fell into thought. The throne? Like a king's? Can they hear me if I talk this loudly? I have to stop this, shaking off her thoughts. She raised her hand and snapped her fingers. A protective barrier quickly enveloped both her and him. Zio hung her head and said bluntly, Old man, stop nagging. With that frail body of yours, what could you possibly do? Do you want to go straight to the morgue? Seo Guan sighed and asked her back. So, how many years do we have left? Zio looked down and didn't answer. She tested the notification board. She focused on casting her skill, libraryization. She cast Hourglass of Destiny, a sub-skill. She asked softly to check the target's remaining lifespan. The system quickly replied, Long term, 2 years. Zio was stunned and asked back, And the short term? The system immediately replied, 1 year. She recalled the days when she was little, when she first met Seo Guan. He had smiled so brightly at her, introducing himself. Hi Zio, nice to meet you. I'm Seo Guan. From today on, if you have any trouble, just tell me, and I'll know. Back then, she was so afraid of strangers that she just hid behind a big teddy bear without saying a word. Seo Guan didn't mind. He gently reached out to rub her head and continued, If you want anything, just feel free to tell me. Seo Guan smiled brightly and said, This is my first time being a grandfather, so I might be a bit clumsy, but let's try our best together. In reality, Seo Guan was smiling just as gently. He spoke slowly, telling her, This is the last time, so you should speak. There probably won't be any other way. I've lived my whole life like this. So if I can die while fighting, that would be the best thing for a hunter. Even though my beloved granddaughter might break my heart, I will always worry about her. Zio didn't turn to look at him. She just quietly replied, You started this mess, so what are you even saying? You're already in too deep to back out now. Seo Guan heard this and clutched his stomach, laughing out loud. Amused, he said, Wow, you've changed your mood again. What should I do? Zio huffed, pouting. What's with the lame joke? Seo Guan smiled and said honestly, Zio, welcome. Zio replied indifferently, I don't know about that. I'm done here. Bam, sitting nearby, saw this and asked in confusion, That's it? Zio looked back at the notification board. It displayed 0003759, skill leveled up. Unique skill, libraryization. Proficiency, 17.028%. Trait, title, Heart of the Dragon. Magic stagnation, developing, stage 2. Zio leaned against the stairs and sighed, saying, Since I'm already here, I might as well sit and watch the tutorial. She thought to herself, It's leveling up on its own anyway, there's no reason to refuse it. Bam turned to look at her, frowning. You're so suspicious. Why are you... But before he could finish asking, a voice echoed in front of them, welcoming them. Welcome to Tower 3, the sanctuary of the constellations. Let your name echo through the heavens. The stars will answer your call. The tutorial will begin. Immediately. Tutorial round. Elimination of humanity. Zio stared ahead, frowning as she thought, Finally, the tutorial part. Her notification board also quickly popped up to say, Yeonji Rock has sent a party invitation. Accept it. Yeonji Rock has sent a party invitation. Accept it. Zio. Yeonji Rock has sent a party invitation. Anonymous user has accepted the invitation. If you agree, give me 100. No. G-Rock kept sending her notifications incessantly. Are you avoiding me? It took you 2 days to show up and now you're avoiding my eyes? You're so cold-hearted. Suddenly, he noticed what she was wearing and panicked, asking via the notification board, Wait a minute, what are you wearing? That's men's clothing. Did you spend the night at some guy's house? Answer me! G-Rock, sitting above, felt his anger rising, making it impossible for her to not reply to him. She used her anonymous handle to reply through the notification board. Just a friend, you idiot. G-Rock received the message and quickly replied, I know who you hang out with. From kindergarten until now, you've only ever had 3 friends. Zio felt a headache coming on and didn't want to continue this. She asked him, But G-Rock? Zio pointed to the giant electronic screen in front of them, feeling annoyed. Are we just going to sit here and stare at the screen forever? It hurts my eyes. G-Rock looked down, observed for a moment, and said to her, Currently, I can only see the plaza. According to the scenario, when the mission changes, the contestants will also move to a new mission area. G-Rock nonchalantly shook his head and said, In that case, you can just look at the number of screens turned on for each group or area. Anyway, you spend all day staring at your phone, reading webtoons, or watching whatever, so that's not good for your eyes either. The world is already bad enough. Do you really want to find something even worse? Zio nonchalantly messaged back, Nope. Immediately after, the system notified G-Rock. The party has been disbanded. G-Rock looked at her with pure, suffocating rage, but he couldn't do anything. At the ranking game, a man was being cornered against a tree, terrified to the core. He stammered, begging for mercy. Please, spare me! Do-hyun, holding a knife, covered in blood, pointed it at him and laughed. Don't worry, it's just a tutorial so you won't actually die. The man clasped his hands together, begging. Do-hyun spoke coldly. You're always staring at your phone, reading webtoons or whatever else. That's not good for your eyes. This world is already bad enough. Do you really want to find something even worse? Gio replied nonchalantly, Nope. Just then, the system notified Gio that the alliance had been disbanded. Jiro was furious, filled with absolute rage. He looked at her but couldn't do anything. In the ranking game, a man was backed up against a tree, terrified out of his mind. He stammered, begging for mercy. Please, spare me! Do-hyun, with his knife covered, in blood, turned toward him and smiled, saying, Don't worry, according to the instructions, you won't actually die. The man clasped his hands, begging and pleading, but Do-hyun coldly replied, This is just the process of stripping away our humanity. I'm sorry. He screamed violently, No! Not because of Hyun! Ignoring him, he swung his blade, finishing him off in one quick strike. The system chimed, You have eliminated a player, plus 50 special points. Do-hyun turned and walked away. I thought to himself, this time I'll claim the top spot, and I'll climb the ranks faster than anyone else. His eyes were icy, and he pressed his lips together, thinking, The moment I find you, you're dead by my hands. Do-hyun recalled the memories of the previous ranking game. He stared blankly at the ruins, shouting, Why? Why did it end up like this? Why did you abandon everyone? Discarded, huh? The Mage King, Kido, hesitated, looked back at him, and then simply walked away. Stunned, Do-hyun watched him vanish. He thought, even if he doesn't show it, that man isn't heartless. The only reason someone like him would turn his back on humanity must be because of Kido, and me, Do-hyun, kept slashing and killing without pause. After slaying the last survivor, a notification appeared. First title, Sword of Judgment. Do-hyun let out a soft sigh and stood up. The notification continued. The constellation who protects order and destroys evil has begun to take notice of you. Current points for player Do-hyun, 1,270. Rank 1 in the tutorial. He gritted his teeth, thinking, I will kill him. Back at the observation room, Twilight scratched his head, pouting, Are you kidding me? What is up with the golden generation this year? He tapped his foot incessantly in frustration. It was getting on the nerves of the person sitting next to him. Only one golden opportunity? He turned to his companion. Hey, say something, Or is he just a common rookie? Usanam calmly replied, "That's not it. He was in the news the day before yesterday. He's the hero of Garseongyung." Twilight was stunned, frozen in place. "The day before yesterday? Garseongyung? Are you sure?" Usanam raised an eyebrow. "Why? Are you trying to scout him too?" Without waiting for an answer, he chuckled. "You probably haven't even seen a glimpse of the Mage King's cloak yet." Twilight shifted his gaze back to the screen, clicking his tongue. "Are you even paying attention? Damn it! Look at that big screen. I don't know about later, but he's going to be the talk of the town." Just then David arrived. Seeing the state of him, she scoffed. "What's with you, poor Night King? Did something happen?" "Ha! You jerk!" Twilight grabbed her hand, clicking his tongue. "Are you running on empty or something? I told you not to call me that in public." David shrugged nonchalantly. "Hey, I just like doing it." Twilight looked bewildered. Where are you going?" David punched him hard, pouting. "Can't you see?" She pointed toward Gio's location. "I'm going down there." David smirked. "She's back, huh? I can't guess the reason why. Is this some unspoken rule among you rankers? Protecting your reputation on the public channel?" Twilight walked toward her and whispered, "If you suddenly rush in now, all eyes here will be on you." David frowned, annoyed. "Who are you calling suddenly rushing in?" She pulled out a black card, a VIP card for the tennis club. She smirked playfully. "Look at this. I'm in the tennis club with that silver lion guy, you know?" Ignoring Twilight's envious and admiring gaze, she boasted, "With this I can joke around with him whenever I want." She turned to him, smiled seriously, and said, "All right, I'm off. See you later." No sooner had she finished than the system screen let out a violent explosion. Everyone's attention snapped to the notification board. It displayed, "Tower of Babel is undergoing emergency server maintenance. The defense screen may weaken during maintenance. Attention players. Due to external factors, the difficulty of the tutorial is being adjusted. Once started, players will not be able to exit the tutorial halfway." Twilight asked, bewildered. "What does this mean?" Usanam quickly spoke up. "Emergency report. 3 rifts have suddenly appeared on Channel 2 simultaneously. A Level 4 rift in South Yeongju, a Level 2 in Bukhansan, and Suwon. The situation inside the tower is also very strange. The tutorial." Before he could finish, the ground cracked and shook violently. Gio stepped forward, toward the game portal. Seok-wan maintained his posture and finally spoke. "Are you guys planning to deal with this or what? If not, get out of the way. We have to do what a hunter must do." The system kept beeping intensely. Seok-wan calmly approached Gio. He asked quietly, "Do you have any idea why the Tower of Babel has a place like the observation room?" Gio looked at him and he replied, "So we can spot potential and train them?" Seok-wan nodded. He continued, "That's true. But the essence of the observation room is to prepare for unexpected situations. If the subjects are rookies, they need our protection even more. This is the first time the tower has shaken like this. It's clearly not a good omen." Gio looked serious as he asked, "Then what should we do now?" Seok-wan replied gently, "We can't afford to lose the rookies here. They are our future." Suddenly, footsteps approached. Seok-wan turned to see Jirak. He said slowly, "I understand." "How you feel, sir, but you know that once a tutorial starts, there's no way to stop it. Don't make Gio do the impossible." Seok-wan shook his head. "That's not what I meant. But if that's how you interpreted it, I apologize." Jirak walked down the steps, smiling. "No, I'm feeling uneasy myself." He sighed, pouting. "If the constellations would just help out, but I don't know who would ever do that. Honestly, I'm feeling pretty frustrated myself," he sighed, curling his lip before continuing. "I mean, if the constellations actually decided to help, who knows? But why would they ever do that?" To get the exclusive ticket, he walked over to Zio, hesitated, then glanced at her. He grabbed her hand, rolled up her sleeve, and saw the letters MM branded on her arm. Zio panicked. Standing frozen and helpless, Biome, who was smoking nearby, raised an eyebrow and spoke up. "Is that a free pass?" Rio stood there, dazed, thinking to himself, "Damn it! Since you already gave it to me, you should at least hide it somewhere discreet. I told you not to use this damn ticket anymore." Suddenly, an invisible figure lightly touched her shoulder, and she immediately received a notification. "Your constellation, the Fate Reader, has announced that it is time to plunder the tower's finances. The event mission details immediately popped up for her to see. Mission. Event mission only for qualified rankers. Help the King of Mages. Difficulty. Easy. Objective. Finish the tutorial. Error code. Unknown. Scenario. You are facing the risk of human extinction. Safely complete the scenario by eliminating the risk factors beyond your control. Reward for completion. Unique skill proficiency increase. 3% growth stat in the scenario. Zio looked thrilled. She tapped her nose and let out a hearty laugh, saying, "The old folks were right after all. As a senior, how could I just stand by and watch my juniors face such a crisis?" In the ranking area, a man was being held in the hand of a giant. He used every ounce of his strength to scream at those below, "Jojo Seon, run away, I'll stay here." Just then he was swallowed whole by the giant. The woman named Joseon stood there blankly, then quickly ran away. She thought fearfully, how did it come to this? The man-eating monsters in the tutorial scenario were only supposed to appear as puppets for players to train their skills. But that giant had managed to take someone out. It reached its hand toward her, trying to grab her. Joseon kept running with all her might, deep in thought. But that monster from before was strange. That thing could hardly be called a puppet. Tears welled up in her eyes as she ran for her life, biting her lip and thinking, I don't want to get caught and eaten by it. Someone help me. Just as she finished that thought, a beam of light flashed before her eyes, hitting the giant's head. That one blow was too much for it to handle. It collapsed to the ground. Joseon was lucky. She was caught in the crevice of its hand. She looked up blankly at the girl who had just fired the shot. Zio smiled brightly and muttered, I think I should sign up for the Olympics. Flashback to the first memory, Baek Do-hyun. The newscaster smiled and introduced her. The hunter we will be interviewing today is Na Do-hyun. The host continued, First, we'll move on to the question everyone has been waiting for. She asked softly, Why did you suggest the title of someone's follower when you have an AA rank and are a top-tier healer in the industry? Is there a special reason for that? Na Do-hyun smiled and slowly answered the question. Reporters, have you ever wondered why people admire hunters? The host happily chimed in, Let's see. Since their appearance, what citizens could ever hate such heroes? Joseon nodded and replied, Exactly, I feel the same. Those hunters are the true heroes of this Na Do-hyun. I am one of the survivors of the most horrific disaster in Seoul's history. You know, when a person is saved, they often tend not to remember much about that memory. But just when they think everything has truly ended, a ray of hope flashes by. She happily recalled the past, smiling as she said, That ray of hope was so vivid, it felt like touching the sun. If a human forgets, the benefactor who saved their life, I would lose my humanity, because I want to live like a normal human rather than become someone very cool. Inside the tutorial area, Jo-hyun looked at her, bewildered, and stammered, Joseon? Joseon was holding a fishing net in the stream. She looked incredibly haggard, but she still wore a bright smile as she spoke. Jo-hyun, he sighed and said, You must be starving. I understand. Joseon shook her head frantically. No, that's not it. Jo-hyun smiled and complimented her. You have impressive survival skills. Joseon looked flustered, hiding the net behind her back, and continued, This isn't for me to eat. Jo-hyun fell silent, thinking for a moment, then walked closer, smiling. All right. Let me help you, he asked softly. Did someone force you to do this? Ah. Joseon stood still, biting her lip as she replied, No, definitely not. Jo-hyun cut her off. Are you, Na Do-hyun, hunting something you don't even want to eat? Did someone ask you to do it? Joseon hesitated and answered, Jo-hyun, honestly, no one forced me. It's just that I... He glanced at the fish she had just caught while listening to her stammer. She said, I don't know. It's just that my body acts on its own like that. He frowned, annoyed, thinking to himself, How disgusting. It's true. Don't insult him. That guy didn't even forget to brainwash her. Jo-hyun turned to look at her, smiled, and began, All right, since you have quite a bit of luggage, I'll help you carry it to your place. Joseon happily accepted, suggesting, But promise me you won't insult him when we get there, okay? He nimbly carried the bags and followed behind her. He fell into deep thought. It seems the person using Zio is a psychology expert. What a troublesome ability. I'll take a good look at his face before I get rid of him. A piece of trash that only knows how to exploit others. Seeing the figure lying on the ground, Joseon happily carried the basket of fish toward that person, yelling, "I'm here!" Zio was still lying there, sighing. "What is this? I don't like fish at all. The environment here doesn't seem very good, does it?" Joseon cried bitterly and incessantly, shouting, "I'm such a bad supporting character. I really am a terrible supporting character." Zio had a headache and called out, all right, just stop it." Joseon burst into tears, saying loudly, "How can you be so kind after all this?" Jo-hyun watched from afar, thinking, psychological control? I had forgotten about it for a while. That woman, in that first news segment. Jo-hyun's face darkened, lost in thought. Her body acts without her even knowing it? I guess it's her instincts telling her to do it. Zio noticed him approaching and happily raised a hand to greet him. "Oh, Beck? You're here too?" Joseon's eyes glared at him with hatred tone. Full of resentment, she asked, "What is this? You know Zio, huh?" Jo-hyun clicked his tongue, thinking to himself, "Why are you staring at me like that when you've already seen through how that name-calling works?" Jo-hyun quickly spoke up. "It's so cold. Are you all just going to sit around like this? Let's go build a fire." Jo-hyun instructed, "I'll go ahead to find some firewood. In the meantime, now Do-hyun, you rest here because you're a bit useless." Jo-hyun's face went rigid. He furrowed his brows and looked at him, asking, "Hey, what was that last thing you said?" "What do you mean?" Ji-hyun brushed it off, answering my sister. "I think he just meant she was a bit too aggressive." Gio lay beside him, yawning lazily, thinking to herself, "I'm so sleepy," as she stared at the screen. The live stream was reaching its climax. The host said excitedly, "With only a few minutes of commentary, the S-rank hunter has already appeared. It's Bambi, the ranker Bambi." He had arrived. On the screen, Gio, weaponless, walked toward the monster without a hint of fear. The host added, coordinating the broadcast, "He has drawn his weapon." In an instant, the monster was sliced up, blood spraying everywhere, and it was taken down immediately. The host cheered, continuing the report. "The rank 4 blood-soaked night monster has become his stepping stone. Bambi is charging straight at the boss." Gio remained calm, piercing the giant standing there with his spear. It was big, but useless, and it was taken down by him in a blink. The two hosts on the other side happily chimed in. "The spear struck them! Right away, the fans!" Sitting on the other side. The screen was filled with fans jumping for joy and shouting, "Oh my God, I'm dying! My oppa is insane!" Through the flattering comments, "It's crazy! He even has a younger sister. Why is everyone acting so chaotic?" Suddenly, one of them turned to look at the girl with blue hair sitting alone on a bench and whispered, "How embarrassing, G." Hi, you should pretend you didn't hear anything, okay?" Ji-He finally pulled herself away from her phone screen, lifted her head to look at them, and frowned. "What do you mean, a friend?" A boy said, "Forget about him. She doesn't care about her brother's business. If I had a relative who was a high-level ranker like that, I'd take him everywhere, and I'd even get pocket money." He rambled on. "Just think about it. Ji-He's house must be amazing. Ji-He's brother is a world-class high-level hunter, and I heard your father is a hunter too." The friend next to him heard this and chimed in, "I'm so jealous, but she must be lonely. It would be better if she had a normal brother, G." Ji-He was annoyed, repeatedly tapping the screen, biting her lip and thinking, "He sure likes normal people, huh?" The other friend continued nonchalantly, "No matter how amazing her brother is, if I were her, I'd feel empty too." Ji-He's finger paused when she heard him say that. The two girls sitting next to her noticed and seemed scared. The boy didn't notice and continued, "But Ji-He, you're not doing too bad yourself, right? You have 10, no, subscribers on YouTube." The short-haired girl gently added, "Bambi hit 300 million followers on Instagram yesterday. If it weren't for his help, Ji-He, reaching 30 million subscribers would be the limit." The other girl, no sooner had she finished than Ji-He grabbed that girl's hair with an incredibly irritated expression. She gritted out each word. "Hey, Iya, use your head before you speak, even if it's the truth." "There's no need to say it out loud. If you're going to be verbally abusive toward me, I'll be abusive right back. I know it hurts to have your hair pulled, but you're really a jerk." With that, she flicked the girl's hair away and sat down on the chair next to her. The short-haired girl was terrified and stammered, "Ji Umhi, oh, I'm sorry." Ji Yumi ignored her and said seriously, "All right, let's head to Bukhansan Mountain soon. Gio will appear there. If we're lucky, we might be able to meet him while he's on his way home." The other girl saw her stand up and followed, confused, adding, Let's go together." Ji Yumi and Ji Eun-hee left the cafe, walking sluggishly, and thought resentfully, "A normal older sister? What the hell? That's not funny at all. Is it a bit wrong to call this an annual event? Why were they born as humans? They should have just been country cats instead." Wait, the previous line was meant for internal thoughts narrative continuing. Inside the dungeon, another ugly monster was defeated by Gio and collapsed to the ground. Ji Seon looked forward, excited. She cheered, "It's opening! It's opening up!" Gio looked at the cave entrance in front of them, leading the way, and said coldly, "If we go deep into this cave, we'll probably fight the boss." Gio followed in silence, her eyes scanning the surroundings, pouting and thinking to herself, "I haven't even done anything yet. If I had known, it would have been easier, but I need to save some face. Regardless, I don't want to overdo it." Suddenly, there was a sound of monsters appearing right above their heads. Gio quickly snapped her fingers, casting a protective barrier over the three of them. She thought happily, "See? That's more than enough." She walked forward nonchalantly. "Gio, walking on water is more believable, like the Gospel of Tai Chi. 3 minutes and 16 seconds. Ji Seon behind her was extremely excited, constantly cheering. "That was amazing! Gio, did you study at the Magic Tower?" Gio tilted her chin, smiling, and said, "If you tell me more about my history, I'll get sad." Ji Hyun lagged behind, bewildered, thinking, "My shoulders are stiff as a board." The three of them moved deeper, and many doors appeared. Gio raised an eyebrow and said, "Let's check it out. Roughly speaking, behind this door will be the boss." Gio rubbed his chin, thinking, and said nonchalantly, "I thought about it, and it would be better to leave the final boss for you, Beck. Even though there are a lot of monsters, I'll gladly yield it to you." Ji Seon's eyes welled up with tears as if looking at a savior, praising him. "Oh my God, how can someone be this generous?" Ji Seon switched targets and looked at Ji Hyun, showering him with praise. "You're so talented, strong, and cool. At 3 years old, you could already make bombs, and at 10, you could walk across the river." Gio chimed in, nodding. "So cool." Ji Hyun, having no other choice, trudged lazily toward the door in front of him. "Fine, let me open it." The door was quickly opened. A dark red aura flowed out. Ji Hyun frowned, observing it for a long time, then spoke up. "This is blood and bone." Suddenly, Ji Seon's panicked scream echoed from behind. "Gio!" Ji Hyun's eyes widened as he turned his head to check on the situation. Gio had collapsed to the ground. Ji Seon worriedly kept calling out to her, "Gio, wake up!" The prophecy reader sensed something was wrong and appeared, constantly flashing signals to her. "Your covenant constellation, the prophecy reader, says that he forgot to increase the attack power and mental resistance for you." A voice kept calling out, urging her to open her eyes. Father caught her, saying gently, Gio, our princess, you have to wake up." The announcement on the train kept saying, "This is the final stop. At the university station. When you get off the train, please check one last time so you don't leave your luggage at the station." Gio stubbornly grabbed her father's hand, pouting, "Father, I'm not a princess. How many times do I have to tell you that I'm the king?" Father led her away, smiling as he said, "Shouldn't the most beautiful person be a princess? In my eyes, my daughter is the most beautiful." Gio stood her ground, nonchalantly adding, "Compared to a princess, I prefer being a king. A king doesn't need to. He is nothing, but he is the strongest one here. Everyone knows they have to be careful around him." TC, feeling helpless, clicked his tongue and said, "Sweetie, isn't that being a bit too arrogant?" As the two of them walked along hand in hand. Gio, still firm, replied, "Mom said that, but she also said Dad is a silly bear, so we have to know how to find our own way to survive and be smart about it." TC adjusted his coat for her, sighed, and said, "Oh boy, Dad knows. All right, my little queen, put on your hat and mask." Gio pouted and answered, "But it's so stuffy, I don't like it." TC gently persuaded her, "Our Gio still has a cold. If you get sick again, your mom will scold Dad and we won't be allowed to go to Ongen anymore. Even though only her eyes were visible, she stubbornly spoke up. I'm just helping you, Dad, because if I go with you, Grandma will be much nicer. She remembered how, in the past, her grandmother was annoyed and kept grumbling at her. Gio, your dad is a hunter, so why is it so hard to give your mother-in-law a bit of pocket money? She wants to go to a Mandiver resort event, just like everyone else. And your dad, he raised her like his own child because she had no parents. Suddenly, her mother entered the room and uncomfortably interrupted. What are you saying to the child? TC stood up straight, looked into the distance and said, She must be feeling very lonely. That's why she's like this, so desolate and alone. Gio, my sweet girl, please try to understand her a little. At the apartment complex, as soon as TC reached the door, he heard the grumbling voice of his mother-in-law. I've been waiting for you for a week now, Gio's father. Come out here with me for a moment. TC, looking confused, asked, I just got here. Where are you planning to go, Mom? Stepping out of the house, she replied, Right in front, there's a huge new Korean medicine clinic. I heard the director used to be someone very famous. TC sighed to himself. I really hate her. She continued chatting away. They say if you register for a membership card, they do free acupuncture and even have services like foot baths. TC clicked his tongue and awkwardly replied, That mother-in-law, starting this year, Jiyumi will be going to daycare, so things at home haven't been as easy lately. If it's not something absolutely necessary. The old lady, as if not caring about their situation, insisted loudly. All the old people in the neighborhood are saying they're going. Are you saying I have to stay cooped up in a corner of the house? Gio sat silently, hugging her father's leg, watching quietly. She pursed her lips and thought, Grandma. TC, flustered, stepped forward to pull her back, saying softly, Mother-in-law, that's not what I meant. She shook his hand off and shouted, Fine, I am not asking you to buy a yacht like everyone else's son-in-law. Now that you're a hunter, you shouldn't be so narrow-minded. TC stayed silent, just bowing his head to listen to her without replying, and eventually he gave in and followed her to the medical clinic. At the clinic, the lady's expression changed completely. She happily approached him and said, Gio's father, let's go pay together. I'm so proud to have a hunter as a son-in-law, TC. Helplessly placed Gio on a nearby bench and instructed her, Be careful, Gio. Dad will be right back. Just then, a woman looked at her curiously and asked, Little one, did you come here alone? Gio shook her head and answered, No, I came with my dad and Grandma. The woman raised an eyebrow and asked again, I thought you were here by yourself. How old are you? Are you in first grade? Gio politely replied, Third grade. The woman was startled and continued, What? That is the same age as my daughter. Why are you so tiny? You're a picky eater, right? Gio smiled brightly and replied, It seems everyone has this prejudice that if you're small, it's because you're a picky eater. The woman excitedly exclaimed, Oh my goodness, third grade. You speak so well. She curiously asked next, Do you live in this neighborhood? I think this is the first time I've seen you. Gio obediently replied, I came down for the weekend to visit my grandma. I live in Seoul. I actually didn't want to come. Suddenly, a sound from the TV in front of them grabbed her attention. The owner of the limited edition supercar, of which there are only 4 in the world, launched last month, has been identified as a local hunter. It seems the rate of real estate purchases by hunters is trending upward. Gio stared at it with interest. Suddenly, she saw her dad returning. Gio stood up and ran toward him. She shouted, Dad! Dad! TC opened his arms to welcome her. He smiled brightly and said, Was my little girl waiting obediently for Dad? The woman couldn't stop praising his daughter for being so smart. TC lifted her up, looked at the woman, and modestly replied, Thank you. She takes after her mother, that's why. Gio, lying in his arms, opened her eyes wide and asked, Can we go now? I'm hungry. TC smiled at her and said gently, Grandma is going to get treatment for 10 minutes, so... He hadn't even finished speaking when suddenly there was a loud noise all around, as if everything was about to crack into pieces. The ceiling above was nearly collapsing. TC used his body to shield her, he said in a serious tone, Gio, get down. The noise continued without stopping. After a long while, Gio finally asked, What's happening? Is it an earthquake? Only this building is shaking. Or is it? TC looked out through the window. He replied seriously, "It's not an earthquake. Those cracks are gates." The TV quickly broadcasted the news to everyone. "This is an emergency alert regarding the cracks. Right now, cracks have suddenly been created on a large scale in the Ongan area, at least level 2. All residents, please evacuate to a place of safety immediately." As soon as the anchor finished speaking, the TV lost signal. Beastly wolves had reached the urban area. They kept howling, grabbing everyone's attention. At the medical clinic, everyone huddled together. TC carefully checked his radio device. After a long while, he sighed and said, "The phones aren't working, so it's better to turn them off and save the battery." He looked at the radio in front of him and calmly continued, "It's lucky we still have the radio. If we didn't have the disaster broadcast, it would be a real mess. The cracks are on an unusual scale. In the center of Ongin, Uijeongbu, Cheongnan, and Sokcho. Specifically, a gate equivalent to a level 1 disaster has appeared at Mount Seorak." TC gently patted his daughter's back and calmly spoke, "Still, it's lucky that this is a hospital, with doctors and medicine, right, sweetie?" Gio, lying in his arms, spoke weakly. TC felt something was strange and reached out to touch her forehead and whispered, "Gio, why do you have no energy like this? Let Dad check." I was immediately terrified and shouted, "Doctor! Doctor! My child is sick! Please come over and check on her!" A total lockdown of the Suji area, Jihung district, where a level 2.5 gate suddenly erupted. The Korean Medical Clinic in Bo Ward, Jihung district, Ongan City. 1 hunter and 12 civilians. After 6 hours of isolation, the doctor seriously said, "After taking the medication, her fever has gone down. The progress doesn't look bad." A woman, seeing the situation, wasn't okay, ran outside, terrified, and shouted to the guards, "So we're just going to stay here like this? Why didn't anyone even announce that there were people trapped in here? Did that thick-headed security guard not hear the broadcast? The monsters have already broken into the building and they still said no. How can you just use the stairs however you want? What? If you're so worried, why don't you get out of here yourself?" The voices of the others kept getting louder. "If there's a hunter here, then why does it have to be me?" The doctor saw the situation, looking at TC. He gave instructions to Gio's father. "Right now, everyone is panicking. You should just stay here." TC looked at him, stunned, and softly called out, "Doctor." The doctor smiled and said, "You have the child and her mother with you." TC gave a gentle smile and hurriedly replied, "Thank you, doctor." He lightly touched her, heartbroken, and continued, "If something were to happen to me, to Gio, what would we do?" Outside, people were running in all directions to escape the chase of the wolves. People screamed, "Over there! There's a store! Run! Just get there!" A person named Sang Cheon was running slowly, and the pack of wolves caught his jacket. The friends running ahead shouted in unison, "Take it off, Sang Cheon! Yeah, take off your jacket, Sang Cheon!" Another person saw that and shouted, "Kim Yang-suk, if you keep this up, you're dead for sure." One person found a store that was still open and quickly told the others, "Here, it's open here. Get inside, quickly, move!" March 24th, 12:25 p.m. After 24 hours of quarantine, the friend used all his strength to pound on the door, shouting inside, "Help me! Is anyone there? There are people outside. How much longer until the monsters get here? Help me, please!" The people inside couldn't bear to let them wait outside, so they quickly opened the door and hurried, "Get in!" The friend leading the group felt like he'd grabbed a lifeline and replied joyfully, "We made it! Thank you!" Everyone sat down around each other. A young boy spoke up and introduced themselves. "We're students from a nearby university. We were hiding in a coffee shop, but the monsters shattered the glass and came in. Except for us. Everyone else." The little girl behind him couldn't take it anymore and burst into tears. Someone saw that and asked softly, "What's the situation outside? Is the rescue operation still being carried out?" As for the guilds, the other friend wiped his tears and choked out an answer. "The guilds and the government are all trying to fight on their own. Outside of Silver Lion, at Seorak Mountain and Heta in Uijeongbu, nobody can move at all." The friend pursed his lips and continued, "They're suggesting a protest in front of the Guild Haven building. But to do that, we have to survive first." It was over. Time passed. The water containers were empty. The cookie boxes were just wrappers. Everyone lay exhausted on the floor to rest. Gio's body was still hot. TC looked at his child, then turned to look at the others in front, pursed his lips, thought for a moment, then stood up and walked out. No source text for this line, skipping per protocol. TC came before them and softly spoke, "It's not looking good. Let me go out and check." No sooner had he finished speaking than Gio, who was lying on the bed, suddenly shouted loudly, "Daddy! Daddy! Daddy, don't go!" TC hurriedly ran to her side. Gio didn't stop sobbing. He gently spoke to reassure her. "Gio, honey, Daddy isn't going. It's okay." The woman standing outside the room quietly spoke up. "He's right. How could he just leave the child and go?" The person standing next to her agreed. "Even if he is a hunter, it's still too dangerous. If we leave the child alone, it's not right. Let's try to hold out a little longer." March 25th, 8:15 p.m. After 48 hours of quarantine. TC gently stroked her face and asked tenderly, "My little princess." "No, your majesty, have you finished crying yet?" He sat her in his lap and continued with a soft laugh. "You must be tired crying like that." "Of course I'm tired," TC said to her. "Mom and I were so worried because Gio doesn't usually cry much. It was useless to worry. I didn't know you could cry so well." Gio frankly replied, "I'm the type to act when the time is right." TC gave a soft laugh and sighed. "Oh my. All right. Daddy lives for you." No source text for this line, skipping per protocol. Seriously, a long while later, he put on a serious face and said, "Gio, Daddy is a hunter, and a hunter is someone who is granted power by heaven to save people from monsters. You said you were very proud that I'm a hunter, right?" Gio pouted and continued, "But heaven gave you very little power. Daddy, don't go." Gio pursed her lips and truthfully added, "To be honest, I'm just pretending to be strong. I'm scared. I also hate them because they demanded to come here. And I hate the people who keep looking at Daddy so strangely. I'm scared of the sounds of the monsters out there." No source text for this line, skipping per protocol. "I hate everything." She turned and hugged her father, choking out, "But as long as I have you, I can endure everything. So, don't leave me and go, Daddy. Don't leave me alone." TC hesitated for a moment. He didn't answer her. Gio tilted her head to look at him, her hands gripping the corner of his shirt, and hurriedly urged him, Answer me. Hurry up. That's an order. Daddy Gio." TC lowered his eyes, having no choice. He wrapped his arms around her and said gently, "Whose daughter is Gio, to be able to talk so well?" Gio laughed brightly and replied, "Everyone looks at me and says I'm just like Daddy." TC happily continued, "That's right, Gio, my daughter. Having you right here is so peaceful, my precious darling." The next day, Gio slowly woke up from her sleep and saw that the space beside her was empty. She called out in fear, "Daddy! Daddy!" She turned to look at her grandmother by the door. Her voice raspy, she asked, "Grandma, where's Daddy?" Then she looked at the doctor and asked the same thing. "Doctor, where's my daddy?" Gio sat still, dazed, only able to call for her father. "Daddy! Daddy!" March 26th, 10:15 a.m. After 3 days of quarantine, Rank E support hunter Gio's father, TC, voluntarily left to request a rescue because there were no other resources. Gio was seriously ill and fell into a coma, only vaguely hearing the people around her calling her, "Gio, Gio, wake up! What should we do? She has such a high fever. Gio, do you hear me, Grandma? If she keeps having such a high fever, it could be dangerous." Her grandmother kept screaming in her ear, "Gio, Grandma was wrong. Please open your eyes. If you stay like this, won't you die?" "Gio, answer me. What will happen to your grandmother's poor puppy?" Gio breathed deeply, her eyes still tightly shut despite the noise all around her. "That's why I said don't send her father away and keep an eye on the child instead." Now everyone could only be silent and watch the child sleeping so deeply. Why? Hurry to come to the rescue? The reader of fate suddenly appeared in her consciousness. He smiled and said, "Found you." Gio opened her eyes wide, staring blankly at her surroundings. She was currently floating in the air. She knitted her brows, looking down at the room below. She gently placed her feet on the floor, confused, thinking, "Where am I?" Gio cast her eyes toward the birds chirping outside the window. Suddenly, a piece of paper fell onto her head. She picked it up and thought to herself, "Paper? What is this? A decoration?" Suddenly, a voice emanated from within her consciousness. "Is this how it is? Is this the scenery inside your heart, little one? Oh no, maybe there's some confusion here. I've missed you so much, my little one." A muscular man's figure suddenly appeared before her. Zion stared at him in surprise. She frowned and asked, "Who are you? Are you a kidnapper?" The man smiled slightly at her and replied, "You're still not afraid of anything, are you? This is your own unconscious world, Zion." Ignoring him, she ran to grab a blank piece of paper and wrote on it, "Mom, Dad, if a kidnapper demands a ransom, absolutely do not pay it, because that's the money for my siblings' tuition." The reader of fate hurriedly urged her, "I'm not a kidnapper, put that pen down." The man chuckled and continued, "Don't you know that those who come before must pass on these things? About the encounters and existence of higher-ranking entities?" Zion thought, bewildered. Higher-ranking entities? Does he mean constellations? She remembered the news reporting that the government decided to call the awakened who were granted power constellations. She turned to her father and asked, "Dad, do you have a constellation too?" He folded his items and replied, "No, I didn't receive their selection. Very, very few people are chosen by constellations." Zion exclaimed excitedly, "A constellation?" The man continued to entice her. "You should know that the process that those people on TV go through isn't peaceful at all. Saints from—" He looked at her eager expression, paused for a moment, and asked softly, Are you even listening?" He sighed, thinking, "The awakened. She is an awakened." He stepped forward, pulled her into his arms, and gently called her, "My little avatar, Zion, be mine. Bind yourself to me once again. Wealth and power, and victory and glory, omniscience and omnipotence. I will give you everything. Come, let's sign the contract. Zion, just one word is all it takes. Then this world will be yours and mine." Zion pursed her lips and looked up at him. The man continued, "Speak clearly now. Say yes." Zion frowned and thought for a bit. Seeing she was wavering, the man asked again, "What do you think, Zion?" She looked at him firmly and replied, "I don't like it." Zion stared at him steadily and thought to herself, "Fine, I'll agree." "I almost said that," she thought, nervously scratching her hand. Seeing him stay silent, she felt even more afraid. She recalled how her father used to gently hold her and say, "Zion, Dad is a hunter, a person, granted power by heaven to save everyone from those monsters." Zion had also spoken very proudly about her father being a hunter, hadn't she? The reader of fate spoke after a long while. "If it's about your father, is it because of Zion?" Zion swallowed hard, feeling flustered, and replied, "Can you hear my thoughts?" Gulp. He smiled brightly and said, "I can read your thoughts. Your thoughts seem to be an exception. Not bad at all. It lies between negative and positive, but it leans closer to the positive." Zion kicked her feet in annoyance. She pursed her lips and continued, "How foolish. I want power, but that desire isn't so bad that I have to become a hunter." The ridicule from before was always aimed at her father. "There's a hunter here, so why do we have to go outside? While others are fighting to the death, those people are just hiding and refusing to step out. If you have power, you should take responsibility." She thought fearfully. Those gazes focused on Dad. "Honestly, I'm very scared." He seemed to understand. Her thoughts, folded his arms and smirked. Such useless worry. Zion stubbornly replied, "What do you mean? I'm being very serious." The reader of fate followed her lead and said, "It's fine not to be a hunter." Under her puzzled gaze, he continued, "Go outside if you want. That's fine too." He tilted his head, looked at her, and smiled. He said, "Just think of yourself like a king in a fairy tale." As soon as he finished, she felt like she was in another dimension. A crown and a cape were draped over her. She heard him instruct her, "If you want, you can even put this whole world under your feet. If you want, even death wouldn't dare to swallow you. You will have the power to lead the world." He blinked and appeared right behind her, grabbed her shoulders, and continued, "Who would dare say anything about that throne? The world should just be grateful to have you, just like the king you once wanted to become. No need to do Anything at all. As soon as he finished, he snapped his fingers, and she returned to reality. He looked regretful and opened the conversation. Don't you like it? The reason you want to be king is very fitting. Lazy, violent, fickle to the point of being selfish. Your nature is like a tyrant's. Zion frowned, annoyed, and shouted, "This old guy is talking nonsense!" He let out a hearty laugh and said, "Every day is just eating and playing, but you must visit the tower sometimes. There will be some limitations." Zion asked blankly, "Limitations?" He nodded and replied, "It will take quite a lot of time to talk directly like this. After completing the contract, we will be able to connect through the system." He knelt down to look at her. She stared back at him and asked, "Why?" The reader of fate smiled gently and answered, "Our levels are different." His eyes seemed to brighten. He clapped his hands excitedly and said, "If you sign a contract with me, even if you awaken or train, you can escape from that competitive hell where you have to run for your whole life. Even until you die, you will indisputably be the one at the top and not be compared to anyone else. You can do anything except for things you don't want to do. Really?" Zion was a bit excited and tried to ask, "Is that true? Is it really that powerful?" He rubbed his chin, frowned, and continued, "It will be difficult for you because you are still too young. But yes, it is very powerful." Zion silently lowered her head, thinking about the proposal, for a while. He glanced at her expression. Without waiting for her answer, he accepted the covenant with her quickly. A notification window appeared before her eyes. Constellation XXX accepts the covenant with host Babylon. Verifying special covenants. Accessing personal information of the target to approve the covenant. Access denied. Insufficient authorization. Suspending. Verification procedures to approve the covenant with Constellation Authority is being considered. Executing the covenant seal. Zion was stunned, thinking, what does suspending mean? She felt a strange sensation under her feet. She was shocked, thinking, under my feet? She looked down. A flow of light along with strange patterns surprised her to the utmost. Golden chains quickly overwhelmed her. She thought, what is happening? Those chains suddenly wrapped around her body. She panicked and screamed. Is this the contract? A familiar voice echoed, Little Zion, the contract has been established. You are mine once again. He reached out to touch her forehead. A notification sounded. Error. With the notification that the constellation's voice couldn't be read, he smiled, turned his back, and walked away. He whispered to himself, when you return here, I hope you won't be carrying any more sadness. No matter how soon or how late, the outcome will not change. April 1st. Lying on a hospital bed, she slowly opened her eyes. Warmth enveloped her. She thought to herself, so warm. She heard the voices of those around her. Doctor! Patient Gio has woken up! Little Gio, Mom will be here soon! In the blink of an eye, she became more alert. She heard her mother's panicked voice. Gio! Mom's here! Then Gio opened her eyes wide. Her mother was hugging her tightly, sobbing. My daughter! My child! My baby! Mom's here, Gio! Thank goodness! Thank goodness! Gio wheezed out. Mom! Her mother smiled through her tears. Mom's here, you're okay, everything is okay now. It's all over, Gio. Gio asked blankly. And what about Dad? The story recounted the total number of sacrifices. It was nearly 8,000 people. Silver Lee, Ong Eun, Seo Kwan had lost an eye, and countless other comrades were buried in the blizzard. 2 people had defended Uzi Unbu alone. They announced they would temporarily close and delegate the guildmaster position to the granddaughter, White Bird. Every day, the members there held press conferences to apologize to the public. Calls to punish the major guilds erupted nationwide. People often called it the March Nightmare. On a beautiful day, at the funeral home, gusts of wind swept past the altar of Gyeon Titiong. Before the altar, the mourning of the family echoed. Oh my goodness. The woman standing next to Gio sobbed bitterly. Ju-won. Oh, my child. According to Gio's account, Gyeon Cheong's estimated time of death was 10:40 in the morning on March 26th. There were 2 notes, found on my father's body. One was a request for rescue for a group of people, including a little girl, who were trapped in the traditional medicine hospital. 2 was a final message, left for his family and those around him. Geo didn't stop crying out, but she herself didn't shed a single tear. "Oh my, sister-in-law, Choi Minju. Mom, don't leave me!" Jirok slowly opened his mouth. He held a branch of white flowers in his hand, looking somber as he told Jiro, "Sister, I heard people say if parents awaken, then there's a high chance their children will awaken too." She was surprised to hear the determination in Jirok's voice. If I ever awaken, I will go to the tower. Without fail, I will climb to the very last floor." 2 tears rolled down his cheeks. Jiro carried pain and hatred in every word, wanting to know why these things had happened to us. He dropped the white chrysanthemum branch from his hand. Sunjo held Gion Cheong's portrait and walked, muttering at the foolish jerk. "Gion Cheong, what was he thinking?" Sunjo's voice trembled. Pitifully, "You said you were a hunter? A failure like you couldn't even earn enough to live a normal life. Why? Did you go there? I told you not to go there. What right did you have to force me to take care of someone I didn't even consider my mother?" She called out to Gio, who was walking beside her. "Gio," she replied. "Yes?" Sunjo instructed. "Gio, don't live like that, okay? Don't live like him. Just—" She couldn't hold it back anymore, collapsing and sobbing, unable to say another word. Sunjo asked again, "Don't you know?" Gio obediently answered, "Yes." Gio didn't cry, nor did she comfort Sunjo, just quietly standing by her side. Gio's inner self was extremely chaotic. "I don't know if the dead can come back to life." The constellation replied, "I cannot." I asked again, "In the end, what can I do?" The constellation said, "A notification window appears. Your constellation, the Reader of Destiny," replied. The Reader of Destiny gave an ambiguous answer, covering up certain memories, to keep them from appearing again. Very simple. The funeral ended. Pak Sunyo cleared away everything related to Gion Ticheong and burned them. The TV was playing the news announcing the schedule for the presidential election. Half a year passed. Ji-hyo sat drawing a picture of her small family. Ji-hyo, her family, her mother, Jirok, Hee-cha. But there was one thing that wasn't very good. The family portrait was missing the figure of her father. She couldn't remember her father's face anymore. Suddenly, Gio was taken to a dark place. She lay, unconscious on the floor. Moments later, Gio's eyes fluttered. She was brought to a field of spider lilies. Gio wondered, "Where is this?" She asked herself, "Did the constellation kidnap me here?" The notification window replied, "With my skills, it's impossible to bring you to such a shabby place." Then, the Reader of Destiny appeared to answer Gio's question. "This place is a hill on Mount Kyungsan, my Gio. I'll tell you, this is a space that spiritual creatures use when casting magic." The Reader of Destiny gently said, "This place evokes sad memories in your mind." Hearing these words, Gio's mouth instinctively repeated, "Sad memories?" The Reader of Destiny landed in the flower forest. He asked gently, "You were sleeping so soundly that no one had the heart to wake you. You must have had a beautiful dream, right, Gio?" She only softly called the constellation, but then she turned away with a pout. "If you already knew, why ask?" he teased, while Gio gradually sank into this peaceful space. "It's just to make it easier for you to talk. That's all." But this place brought her a sense of comfort. Gio lifted a spider lily flower in her hand. She said to the Reader of Destiny, "So, in short, is—" Gio looked at the flower thoughtfully. The little girl Gio, innocent and pure, was seduced by the words of a constellation. She blew away the petals and questioned him, "And did you perform an immoral act by erasing all my memories? About my father?" The Reader of Destiny replied, "Humans always seek and provide answers to everything. Gion Gio, back then, you understood that." He asked back, "Gio, do you feel a change in mood through retrieving those memories?" She replied nonchalantly, "Strangely, I don't feel anything. I guess so." Gio wasn't troubled either, "Because I don't remember anything, so the things I promised my mother, I feel they were all right." She smiled lightly with a bit of peace in her soul. Dealing with dark memories and these trials is truly a wonderful opportunity for me to express myself. But I am neither a king nor a hero to have anything interesting to tell. Now sitting here retelling everything is a bit... A black hole appeared in the sky, sucking up the flowers below. Geo recited the name of the skill. Library Transformation. Every spider lily petal embraced Geo's small body. The sea oxen unit has the characteristic of neutralizing magic casting. Therefore, due to the characteristics of this area, the use of skills will be limited for a moment. It had completely covered her. Streams of power flowed toward the flower. To be able to clearly see the ranking gap compared to the opponent, one must remove the enemy's restraints. Geo stepped out from the shell with a book in her hand. Every stroke of power was drawn by her. The unique characteristics of the awakened mental world, the hidden majestic trait of a rare king, had been unlocked. Her feet stomped hard on the flowers, those spider lilies that Zio was just admiring. As she brushed her fingers against her blade and lifted it, a voice seemed to be calling out to her in the real world, faint and echoing. It's echoing. Zio can sense it too. She hears someone calling her name in reality, and with a strike, she slices through those pathetic flowers. Do you really think these measly things can touch me? A notification appears. Trait: immovable heart resonates with the king's dignity, evolving into soul of the legendary lion. Zio's face breaks into a satisfied smile. Now I understand why the constellation kept telling me to come to this tower. It's been so long since we last talked directly. Honestly, I'm actually having a bit of fun. But I can't come here too often. Back in reality, someone startles her, but Zio doesn't care. She keeps playing in the field of flowers, happily hacking away at every stalk, leveling up each time. Is it a bit too much? Zio doesn't hesitate to slash through the flowers, showing no mercy. This place has become her new favorite spot. In the real world, the Fate Reader sits beside Zio's body, gently brushing her hair. After the Fate Reader vanishes, Jo Eon and Jo Hyun rush to save her, shaking her, constantly shouting her name. Zio, wake up, please! But she doesn't budge, no matter how loud they scream. Zio, 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 Zion desperately calls out. Please, wake up! Jo Hyun is struggling, fighting the monster. It's the Gravekeeper of the Rocky Mountain. Originally, it was just a spirit that only appeared on the last 20 floors of the tower. Jo Hyun asks anxiously, Jo Eon, is Zio still not awake? Jo Hyun is trembling too. Yeah, no matter how much I call, she won't wake up. The Gravekeeper releases more beasts. They lunge forward, aiming to tear Jo Hyun apart. He quickly deals with them, but the defeated beasts turn into a pile of sludge, merging into yet another monster, opening its mouth wide to swallow. Jo Hyun! Jo Hyun! Jo Eon screams in terror. Unfortunately, the monster swallows him whole. It tries to digest Jo Hyun, but then the sound of powerful sword strikes echoes out. Jo Hyun has escaped from the slimy monster. He pants, exhausted and puzzled. This isn't the type of monster that should appear in the tutorial. If I die here, I might actually die for real in the outside world. Jo Hyun aims straight for the Gravekeeper, but as he lunges, he steps on a trap. He looks down in surprise as a wire shoots out from nowhere, wrapping around his leg and dragging him to the ground. The monster laughs gleefully as it watches him struggle. A notification pops up. Error code, unauthorized access. This area does not correspond to the scenario. Unable to interpret enemy language. Jo Zeon snaps, shouting, That ugly, disgusting bastard is mocking us! Jo Hyun fires back. So, what are you going to do about it? He grips his sword helplessly. Jo Zeon realizes he was just playing with us the whole time. Jo Hyun turns back to urge her. Keep calling. Zio, wake up, but don't use your divine power to call her. If you try to heal a mental attack like that, it might just trap them in a coma forever. Jo Zeon asks anxiously, if we do that, could Jiho never wake up? Jo Hyun struggles to stand, his eyes becoming hollow with fatigue and despair. Maybe we're all going to die. Here. Jo Hyun's mind begins to analyze the situation theoretically. The blood-bone mental attack used by the Gravekeeper must have a density inversely proportional to the target's strength. The thick blood bone clinging to her body is proof of this. If she stays unconscious like this... His train of thought is interrupted by the monster's tail lash. Jo Hyun is slammed hard against the wall. The blow is so strong he coughs up blood. Jo Zeon screams in fear, Jo Hyun! She rushes over to check on him. Jo Hyun, are you okay? She tries to wake him up. Please, wake up! Wake up! A notification for her healing magic appears. Cooldown 0006. 15. Joseon falls into despair. She's all alone now. What? The DPS retreated? And left you here? Just looking at you, I know you're not a side character. Please, wake up! The monsters close in on Joseon. She looks at the Gravekeeper in hopelessness and screams, "No!" Jo-hyun forces himself up, using his last bit of strength to try and save Joseon. Deja vu. At the most dangerous moment, Zio wakes up. The bloodbone has dissolved. She swings her sword, slashing straight across the Gravekeeper's head. Jo-hyun realizes Zio has returned. He smiles with relief after all that exhaustion. Joseon is surprised, confused by the situation. What's happening? How is this possible? Zio walks slowly toward them, offering words of comfort. You guys have worked hard. She raises her hand and gives a command. Now go to sleep. She snaps her fingers. Under Joseon's stunned gaze, Zio's arrival is like a ray of light, lighting up the darkest part of her youth, a glimmer of hope in a moment of despair. Under Zio's magic, Joseon slowly drifts into sleep. Zio whispers, "My friend, sleep well." After that, she gets to work. The time for harvest and delivering justice has begun. Notifications begin to appear line by line. Zio's action. Accessing archive. Bookmark number 4. Rural experience. Keyword, God of Death. The Gravekeeper of the Rocky Mountain is also ready to fight. The notification reads, West Sector. Weapon filter. Manifestation of death. Zio says lazily, I'll allow myself to play some whack-a-mole. The notification asks again, Do you wish to execute? The monsters, released by the Gravekeeper, growl threateningly and lunge to tear Zio apart, but she shows no fear. Jo-hyun is astonished by Zio's power. Every strike of her sword carries death itself. A black dragon, along with weapons symbolizing the king and the mage. In just a short time, the monsters are defeated, but they merge into that pile of sludge again, trying to rise. Zio walks over and stomps on it hard, mocking it. Judging by your appearance, you brought some weaklings along. To have some fun, didn't you? How cheeky. Zio lectures it. Think about who the king of this area is. It's me. The sludge slowly dissolves into dust. Zio doesn't even notice. The gaze of admiration behind her. Even though he's exhausted, Jo-hyun admits one thing. Damn, that was cool. The progress report appears. Ground app. Tutorial ritual. Catching humans scenario has ended. Zio carefully reads each piece of information. Completion. Growth Phase 2. Title trait. Reward. Mission accomplished. Being recalculated. A new message arrives. She smirks. It's a new ranking. A shift in the rankings. Babel Network. World announcement. Updating rankings. Replacing Planet Representative 0. Promoted. Replacing Planet Representative. Announcement also sent to Twilight. Replacing Planet Representative 0 also received. The human head was eliminated. The scenario has ended. Joe focused intently, reading through every bit of information. Second phase growth of the title trait reward has been completed. Mission complete. Recalculating. A new notification popped up. She smirked. It was a new leaderboard. The rankings have shifted. The Babylon Network is broadcasting a worldwide update to the leaderboard. Replacement for Planetary Representative 0 has been promoted. The notification for the replacement of the Planetary Representative was also sent to Twilight. The replacement for Planetary Representative 0 has also received it. Notification. Transferring to David's location. Replacing the planet's representative. She was thrilled with this achievement. Amazing. And the last one to be notified was Whitebird. Replacing the planet's representative. All of them received the information. Rank 1 worldwide and representative for the planet.